Another enthralling Monday morning. Welcome to the AM News. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. Straight away, the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission says despite the strides made in making sure that Ghana is not left out in the SDGs, the Commission is still faced with a capacity challenge. In a yet-to-be-heard interview with Benjamin Akapo on the AM show, Dr. Kojo Esiam Mensah Abrampa indicates the absence of experts in some critical areas has been a major challenge.
The challenge we are facing, and I must be very frank with ourselves, has to do with the capacity of NDPC itself. Much as we have very good technical people here who are doing the work, we need more to be able to accommodate the kind of work that we're doing. Coordination, which was quite a bit of hedgy, in fact, a bit of weak 2 years, 3 years ago, and we are tightening that because that is important for avoiding duplication. For avoiding redundancy, you need to tighten coordination, and in doing that, we needed expertise. This is, and so, you know, employing the public sector, you need to go through the whole process:
right.
Clearance, technical clearance, financial clearance, and therefore the tightening of the budget affects that in terms of clearance. So we're still being challenged in some of those areas. One of it has to do with, let's say, in the area of urbanization. We realized 2 years ago that we didn't have an urban expert here who could take up the issue of urbanization. At the time, we were approaching the Global World Forum, you know, the World Forum for Urbanization. So we worked through that and we couldn't secure that. So we had to rely on some of our people with knowledge in urbanization to rely on some of the staff at LUSPA, Land Use and Planning Authority, right, to rely on other staff from local government to beef up, to be able to do that. It meant that if we had, you know, at that time, experts within, it helps in coordinating because urbanization is also interdisciplinary. It involves knowledge in planning, engineering, social policy, economic, and therefore that gap really affected us. So our capacity is being challenged within this period.
The full conversation is at 7:20 a.m. on this particular show. Let's go up north where the medical superintendent of the Toulon Hospital is worried the facility may shut down due to lack of money to pay its suppliers. 2 years after its commissioning by Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, the facility is yet to receive seed capital despite an earlier intervention by Member of Parliament for the area, Habib Idrisu. Dr. Abdullahi Osman spoke when a team from the Ghana Health Service paid a visit to the facility. Martina Abugri reports.
The hospital serves over 118,000 people in Toulon and some adjacent districts like the Kumbungu, North Gonja, parts of Central Gonja, and parts of the Sanergu municipality. The hospital is a referral center for the sub-districts, presenting the state of the hospital to a 3-member team from the Ghana Health Service Council in Toulon. Medical Superintendent Dr. Abdullahi Osman said the hospital started with eventually nothing.
We have gone round and round. In fact, when we were going to start this hospital, when it was handed over to us, we kept looking for seed money. I have moved up to the level of the Minister of Health to no avail. It was surprised to know that it was the MP who gave us 60,000 Ghana cedis. That is what we used to start running this facility.
Dr. Osman said the hospital is currently under pressure from suppliers because he had assured them funds would be available by the 4th month.
Out of the goodwill that I enjoyed with my suppliers in the previous places that I worked, they were able to give us most of the things, all the things that we need actually on credit for us to start. And as we speak now, there's so much pressure on me because I had promised them that at least by 4th month we will have started paying something. So we may not be able to get supplies coming the next month because if we're not able to pay them.
A member of the Ghana Health Service Council, Isaac Kwesi Hammond, responding to some of the concerns, said it could be categorized into 3: administratively, managerial, and policy, adding that those which require policy intervention will be dealt with when the council meets.
We have sat through, we have listened to you, we have seen for ourselves. The various issues that you've enumerated can be categorized into three: administrative, managerial, and policy. Those which requires policy intervention, we shall know them, and when we sit in our council decision rooms, it will bear upon the decisions that we take constantly.
The council later inaugurated a 10-member Ghana Health Service Committee for the Northern Region, headed by the Chief of Nanton, Na Mohamed Baba Bawa.
General Secretary of Tabital International Ghana Chapter Yakubu Musabari is accusing government of not fulfilling its promise to provide aid to the over 200 people who were displaced in Zokili after gunmen attacked 3 Fulani communities. The gunmen killed 8 people, injured 4, and touched several homes, displacing more than 200 residents. Martina Bugri once again.
Speaking at the final funeral rites of the 8 who were killed in Zakoli, Mr. Barry said the displaced continues to sleep in the open and wondered what happens anytime it rains.
It's very, very unfortunate that the government is not paying serious attention to these people. They kill their husbands, their brothers, 8, and they left behind mothers and children, their wives and children, and even up to the vice president promising through the regional minister that he will send NADMO to do assessment and give them a relief items. Till date, today is 1 month, 2 days. This thing happened on the 13th April. Today is 15th. When I got here, I get sad because I'm imagining, if it rains, where do they go? If it is in the night, where do they go? How do they sleep? NADMO came here on the 18th and gave them mats and mosquito nets. How do mats and mosquito nets sleep in the opening if it is raining? We came here and we saw this tent. These tents were fixed just on the 17th after the incident. And it was not from NADMO, rather a Red Cross. They brought about 3 tents. And these tents too are not very stable. When the wind blows, it lifts them. You will see some of them are even blown up. So I'm asking, are we not also citizens of this country?
Delivering a speech earlier, Mr. Barry gave an account on how Fulanis came to settle in Ghana to dispel the notion that Fulanis are not Ghanaians.
The Fulanis came into Dagon land in the 15th century. It's unfortunate we did not get the traditional rulers here so that I can establish it very well. But a short story. The Fulanis were the second foreign indigenes that arrived in Dagon in the 15th century. During the reign of Na Loru,
the Deputy Director of the National Peace Council in the Northern Region, Nuhu Abukari, called for the redefinition of perceptions about people and tribes, which he said influences attitudes.
As we urge you to restrain the groups and urge them to live peacefully and live within the laws of the land, we are also telling all Ghanaians that there is no group in Ghana. The Gumbes, Kunkumbes, Wenjes, as well as Mamprusis, we all have deviants among us. And so we should avoid ascribing anything to any other group. Just as there is no one who will wish to give birth to a thief, there is no Fulani nor the Gomba parent that will want to give birth to a thief. And there is nobody who will be interested to harbor or keep any bad element within their ranks. And so we are against any stereotypes or any prejudice against any group of people.
Let's now come down to the Bono East region, where residents of Babato, a farming community in the Kintampo North municipality, would no longer travel long distances to the municipal capital of Kintampo to access health care. This is after the Kintampo Municipal Assembly, with the support from the Japanese Embassy, constructed a new facility to serve residents who have over the years resorted to self-medication. Municipal Director of Health, Dr. Collins Boateng, says that the new structure would go a long way to help improve healthcare delivery. Correspondent Anna Sabit has more in the following report.
Lying on the Kintampo Tamale stretch and with a population of over 12,000 inhabitants, the Babato Chiefs compound has over the years been under immense pressure when it comes to healthcare delivery. The situation, according to the people, has over the years led to the people resorting to other forms of medical care, which includes self-medications in some cases. Mohammed Abdulaziz is the assembly member for the community.
With a population of not less than 12,000, from here to the main Kintampo township, roughly, you all know the conditions in the country now. Even transport from here to Kintampo, we spend not less than 20 cities in and out. So, in fact, the people in accessing healthcare, it was a very big challenge, and so most of them were resorting to treating themselves on their own and then resorting to the, counter services, the drugstores.
Due to the limited space here, patients usually sit and lie on the floor when in line to seek for medical care because there are no beds and chairs in the facility.
Na empa ni hosa ntira na meka se ye ho kire no ye ba nipa mienu ne nya da mpane so amaka no mo beda form ho.
Today, the people here could heave a sigh of relief after the Kintampo Municipal Assembly, with support from the Japanese Embassy, constructed a one-number chiefs compound which consists of an OPD, a consulting room, a labor and delivery room, male and female wards, and a semi-residential facility. Kintampo North Municipal Director of Health Services, Dr. Collins Boateng, noted that the move will go a long way to help improve healthcare in general.
Kintampo is one of the biggest, and we are having a high population. And if you come here, we have a lot of far-to-reach communities. And if you look at all these far-to-reach communities, we need more. We need more chiefs compound so as to reduce burden on the people when it comes to transporting them from the far-to-reach communities to Kintampo Hospital. So we are indeed very happy for what they have done for us.
On his part, Municipal Chief Executive for Kintampo North, Isaac Bafo Amia, assured that the facility will be used for the purpose for which it was constructed and maintained as well.
Your Excellency, I wish to assure you that the Kintampo Municipal Assembly, in collaboration with the Municipal Health Directorate and Chiefs, will ensure the maximum use of this facility in its regular and periodic maintenance. I therefore wish on this score to thank you very much, the Grant Assistant for the Grassroots Humanitarian Security Projects, GGHSP team, and all those who make this memorable occasion a success.
Senior Physician Assistant and in charge of the facility, Eva, also expressed gratitude for the structure and asked that the lack of chairs and bed syndrome has been addressed and healthcare will be improved henceforth.
At first, chairs, we even fight with the patients and then the nurses with chairs. Sometimes you come and then you be standing. You don't get chairs to sit on. But now you can see the rooms. We have 5 years, so 10 beds for us.
She was, however, quick to request for the construction of a laboratory and possibly an upgrade of the compound into a health center within the shortest possible time.
I'm hoping the MC and our district municipal director are able to upgrade it to a health center so that other service can be provided to the people, not necessarily referring them to Kintampo Municipal Hospital.
Anna Sabit, JoyNews, Babato in the Kintampo North Municipality.
And in our very last story, Hope for Little Lives, a philanthropic organization, has undertaken surgeries for 39 children diagnosed with several conditions in the Keta municipality of Devoto region. The children who suffered conditions including intussusceptions, umbilical hernias, inguinal hernias, among others, were operated on at the Keta hospital free of charge. Fred Kwamesari has more in the following report.
As part of Hope for Little Lives annual outreach program, a team of medical experts was put together to undertake surgeries for 39 selected children in Keta. The children were diagnosed with conditions including umbilical hernias, undescended testes, among others. The founder of Hope for Little Lives, Dr. Mami Techiwa Butchri, led the team of specialists who operated on the children in the Keta Municipal Hospital.
Yesterday was a very tiring day. We had surgeries. We operated on about 19 children, some of which had more than one pathology. We're very excited to have operated on a little baby, a 6-month-old, who came with intussusception. Basically, it's a condition in which one part of the intestine enters the other part of the intestine, and the child presents with bleeding per rectum. If we were not here, the child would have been referred all the way to Ho or would have been referred to Accra. But by the grace of God, we're able to operate on this baby. The baby is now stable on the ward and is passing normal stools. So this is what gives us joy. This is what Hope for Little Lives is about.
Professor Efu Ahesi said she joined the team to give back to society by helping the less privileged.
We are encouraging all of you, whatever we can do to help those that are less fortunate. The services that are in the country are localized to certain areas. So wherever you have the opportunity to volunteer, to go out, do something good for somebody. That is what Christ will want us to do.
The medical superintendent of the Keta Municipal Hospital, Dr. Antoinette Ekubam, lauded the initiative of the team.
So we are so grateful because in our part of the district, we are, or the country, we don't have these pediatric surgeons with us. So it is an opportunity for these children who have been having this condition for some time to have them solved. Otherwise, then they have to be referred to Accra and Kumasi, and most of them decline. And because they are children and they may not have committed parents or guardians, they end up living with this condition for so long. So me in particular, as a pediatrician, very particular, passionate, about this outreach, and my heart is full of joy for having them have this relief.
The Hope for Little Lives organization also organized health screenings and gave free medication to beneficiaries. The team also painted the Keta Basic School block and donated books and other learning aids to the school. Fred Kwamesari, Joy News, Keta.
That's all for today's edition here on the AM News. My name is Pakwesi Shandov. The show continues with Benjamin and Benes.
Well, here we are getting into the newspapers this morning and a lot more, but we'll save it for later. So many things we're going to be digesting, but let me start by saying a very good morning to Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahima. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Ben, and thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure having you, actually. So right before we get into the newspapers, there are some topical matters that have come up. And one of them, I'd like to quickly engage the two of you. You together with Dr. Adam Bona, security analyst on it. And with your permission, Suleimana, I'll start with Adam on this beat. It simply has to do with the state of our security or insecurity. We've all been concerned about insurgency in the sub-region, terrorist attacks and more. And the last we were told, it had come to our very doorstep, 5 kilometers from Ghana. Well, my colleague MF Apa, who had an interaction yesterday with the defense minister, and he said that considering all that is happening, Ghana needs to tighten its security, and that all is not well. But tightening security, Mr. Defense Minister, I thought that was your role. So if you're telling us that, then where are we headed? And all is not well. Dr. Adam Bona, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ben, and then good morning to Suleimana on the other side.
Right. What is your reaction to these comments from the Defense Minister?
Well, Ben, and good morning to your viewers. I am not surprised, because if you look at how porous our borders are, and also the fact that after this terror attacks in neighboring Togo, which is just a stone throw from Ghana, we haven't seen any states of heightened, alertness. In other places, the state of alertness would have been heightened by now. The whole country would have pushed probably a notch higher than we are doing. But if 5 kilometers or less than 10 kilometers, usually anything, less than 10 kilometers, you want to ensure that you protect yourself. Citizens are cautioned to be wary of bad people. Emergency numbers or hotlines are shared around. Border communities should have by now been, informed. But unfortunately, that hasn't been done. What I have seen is a press release or a statement put out by the National Security cautioning mosques and, what's the name? Religious facilities.
Right.
And I think that, that is some information put out there, but that is woefully inadequate, because then the modus of these terrorists keeps shifting. They have attacked schools, they have attacked churches, mosques, marketplaces. They have attacked, those who are on transit, those who are, moving into call it state in other countries. And so as far as I'm concerned, it looks like nothing really has happened. Nothing has happened. Technically, Togo is in Ghana. And so for us to...
When you say technically Togo is in Ghana, what do you mean?
And what I mean is that there are people around the borders in between Ghana and Togo who don't actually know when, at what point they've entered into the territory of Togo and at what point they've entered into the territory of Ghana. If you go to Hamele, Aflao, Elugo, and other countries, you technically have farmers who have their farms stretching from Ghana into Togo, or maybe from Togo into Ghana. You go to Burkina, it's the same. Cote d'Ivoire, it's the same. And so mine is that if this thing happens in Togo, look at how dastardly, this whole thing took place or happened. And unfortunately, we haven't been well informed. And so for me, what the defense minister said, even though I arrived, yesterday, I haven't been around, but if, what the defense minister, what the defense minister is saying is anything to go by, then I will tell you that I am not surprised, because then we seem to have put something in place, but I will tell you that it is nowhere near where we'll be able to deal with, terrorists who might take advantage of us.
Right. So, Dr. Bona, just moving the conversation forward briefly before we let go of you. So this is the situation. For me, it doesn't give me much comfort. It is not even cold comfort as a citizen. And another cause for worry is the fact that we don't have experience in dealing with insurgency. Burkina Faso and other countries, Mali and others, they have experience dealing with these. We don't, which means that if we don't get the right security infrastructure in place, it could be, to put it mildly, disastrous before we catch up. So what then do we do?
Well, what we need to do, some of us have been pontificating. We have been talking about it for a very long time. And as we speak, even in my intro, I mentioned to you, so Ben and viewers who are watching us, tell me, if I saw someone who is wearing baggy clothes that looks like he's carrying some ammo, he's carrying some AK-47s and some, call them ammunitions and crossing the border, who do I talk to? Which number do I call? Do I call the local police station who might not be able to deal with it? And so we have not put in information that would help, the citizens help fight terrorism if it has to come onto our soil. This is the worry. Secondly, as we speak, even when there is an accident in our major highways, okay, nations have learned after 9/11. 9/11, it came out to be one of the baddest for the American emergency agencies, including the security, because then they were largely uncoordinated. Today, as we speak, we seem to have, agencies that are supposed to be coordinating this. But unfortunately, when there is even an accident on our highways, usually the police will get there, only to realize that there is a mangled vehicle, people are trapped. Then they call the fire service. Fire service gets there. Sometimes they don't even have the, the machinery to cut through, the grinding machines to cut through and free people. Only for them to realize that people are bleeding so badly. So they have to call an ambulance. The ambulance, whether it will come or not. And so, as far as I'm concerned, even for things such as accidents, we have largely not been coordinated enough. And so when it comes to terrorism, you need not the security agency's response alone. You need citizens' response, including the security services. If citizens are not involved in fighting terror in any country, it never works. Once the citizens are not involved, but as we speak, the citizens are not involved. Go to most of these churches, the national security issued information, most of these, religious facilities.
Right.
Ask me whether they have security policies. When I say security policies, not one that you go and you copy something. When was the last time most of these churches engaged, any security person, someone who is trained enough to, scan around and tell them that do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. They don't have it.
So in my parish, Dr. Bonner, I have noticed that in recent weeks, if not over a month, there's always a police presence. There's a patrol vehicle, even in the course of the week and all of that. I see a few things happening, but is that enough? And in that directive, to wrap with you, in that directive from the National Security Ministry when it comes to places of worship, in fact, quoting the coordinating director, it says, in view of growing threats of terrorism from the sub-region and the expansionist drive of terrorist groups towards coastal West African states with a renewed modus operandi of targeting public gatherings, including places of worship, it is imperative that perceptional measures are taken by all stakeholders. Are you seeing these perceptional measures? What are they? And I mean, what more can we be doing?
Well, what more we should be doing, if I go to probably one of the biggest church or one of the biggest mosques today, I'm likely to walk through, whether you know how these things are done. Right. And so what more we should be doing should have been to begin to put in measures in most of these places. And it should have been, we should have generalized it in a way that, tell citizens that, it looks like we are closer to something like a disaster if we don't sit up. And therefore, these are the processes when you have to go into, let's say, a big mall, one of the big malls in this country, go to some of our malls in this country. You could just walk through, I have attempted mystery shopping, left things, later on went to pick them, and the security officers didn't even know what has happened. I'm telling you, they didn't know what has happened.
So that is to say that if you had left, let's say, a bomb, so to speak, like some of these terrorists operate, some explosives, no one would have noticed you. You would have left it there. There would have been an explosion, God forbid, and no one would have even noticed anything.
Yes. I bought an item from one shop, walked into another shop at one of the biggest malls, left it in one of the shelves, walked out. In coming back, I told the guy that, I left something and I forgot to pick something I bought from the other shop. He only said, okay. They didn't even walk me to go look at what I left and to tell me that you shouldn't have left it. And so what I'm telling you is that when you recruit security people who are largely watchmen, who have no intelligence, who walk around, who at the end of the day, you haven't given them any training, and you say, people should probably put in measures. What measures are they putting in when the measures does not involve human beings? When I say it doesn't involve human beings, how many of our citizens who are supposed to even be providing security, including sometimes even the police themselves, including the military and the national security, you can mention them. How many of them are trained to deal with terrorism and to spot terrorists in a way and analyze it and say, this is how we deal with it? It is, probably trying to do something that would symbolize something. But I must be honest with you, Ben.
Right.
It's too close for comfort. And I would have wished that as we speak to you, maybe this morning, you guys they would have shared some information with you, some tidbits about what to do, what not to do. In all the languages across this country, we have radio stations and, TV stations. Let's begin to get people more educated on what to do. But if we see terrorism to be just, looking for security solution for terrorism alone, when I say, I mean those in uniform dealing with terrorism, who tells you that the terrorists who are striking, didn't they kill military officers or so in Cote d'Ivoire?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the name? In Togo recently. They killed military officers. It tells you that they have become more daring, and so they are calling the bluff of the West African security agencies, calling their bluff and attacking them and killing them left and right. For Burkina, it's happening in Burkina, and that is what has led to a lot of the coups we are seeing, because the military are taking over because they think that the government is not putting in resources. So we need to brace ourselves for, what do you call it, something that probably I will not be able to put out.
Doc, we're grateful for your time, but just give me a yes or no answer to this. I just quickly need to know. So in terms of the security in these religious institutions, should it be the state coordinating this and saying, put in place X, Y, Z? Churches, mosques, other religious groupings, do this at your places of gathering. Yes or no? Just give me a yes or no answer, or maybe in 10 seconds.
Yes.
So the state should tell them what to do.
Because, yes, it is the responsibility of the state, because these facilities are supposed to be public spaces or public places. And so you have a place where there is large gathering. If anything happens, it is on the government of this country or the leadership of this country. And so they would have to, around this time, facilities that are not fit for purpose, that cannot stand the test of this time, should be closed down. That way, we are going to be reducing, the number of people, the number of places where you have large gathering, because these are not ordinary times. And so, if you have a facility that could take, let's say, 5,000 people at a time, and that facility is refusing to go by what the state is asking them to do, you close it down. In any case, during COVID, the president will only come on TV and tell us that by midnight so and so we should all sleep. And, we didn't have to go out. And so I think that they should put in measures. I'm not saying close down churches and mosques, but give them, some guidelines and ask them to follow it. If you don't follow it and we notice you are not following it, we will come and close you down. Other countries have done it. Why can't we do it?
Dr. Adam Bonner, thank you so much. We're really grateful. This was short notice. I had to say this. We're really grateful you took the time to join us, sir. And do have a good day.
Same to you.
That was Dr. Adam Bonner sharing his thoughts with us on those most recent comments. We know about the insurgency in the sub-region, but this is the latest. The defense minister says these are tricky times and we really ought to, all is not well. That is what he says. Suleimana, I want to start from there with you, Mr. Brima. Your take. You would have to unmute, please.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I think that we cannot but admit that we are in critical times. We are surrounded by Burkina Faso, Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire. And on top of that, we have Mali, Niger, and all those Sahel countries. And they are all going through some difficult times in terms of these fundamentalist and terrorist activities. As a country, I think that over the years, it would be inappropriate to suggest that we as a country have not been taking steps towards mitigating whatever risks there may be in terms of these terrorist activities. I know that our security agencies on day-to-day are going through various forms of trainings. I know national security has been taking a lot of steps towards dealing with these issues. The fact is that we cannot and never prepare enough. These are unfolding situations, and this is an unfolding situation. The dynamics change every day, and therefore we have to keep preparing, we have to keep updating ourselves. And I believe, as Dr. Bona said, what's also critical is the public education. And I think that is where we need to do more and more of, particularly educating the most at-risk communities and the communities that are quite vulnerable, particularly at the border towns, in the north, in the western corridor, in the eastern corridor, and all of those. But if you look at a development like what is happening in Boku, in the Upper East region, sometimes it gives me worry that if an internal conflict that is a bit conventional, and conventional in that so far we haven't had a situation where somebody is deploying a bomb and committing suicide bombing and all of that. So these are people who are acting and would want to be secure whilst they inflict casualties on the other side. And yet for almost 5 months now, we have been battling. You know, we impose curfews, we impose restrictions like no motorbikes, no wearing of smokes, and so on. And yet, despite the curfew, despite no riding of motorbikes, despite no wearing of smokes and all of that, once in a while we hear, oh, there is sporadic gunshots, 2 people have been killed, 1 person has been killed, and so on. And how do we then deal with a situation of terrorism or terrorist act if we were to ever, unfortunately, get into such a situation? And I think some of these developments in places like Boku are things that have to be nipped in the bud as quickly as possible. First of all, to show how prepared we are to deal with acts of instability, but also to send a strong message to fundamentalist groups or terrorist groups who may be lurking in the border towns around Upper East and the Boku area, that, well, Ghana is ready and prepared. But given what is happening, I think that it somehow would give confidence to, you know, those nefarious people to think that, look, if they are struggling to deal with this incident, then we can easily attack and then either go scot-free and so on and so forth.
We all ought to watch our backs and we all ought to be alert. You see anything that is irregular, anything that is suspicious, I think you ought to start reaching out to the police, because you never know, especially along the borderlines. We never know. And no one wants any such thing to happen in this country, because once it starts, it gets very problematic. We pray for Ghana. The Ghanaian Times also continues on that, with that trend. Threat to security, national security warns churches. I've already given you some snippets of that. Pictured there, Mr. Kandapa, Sector Minister. But a quick one for you, Suleimana. Saturday downpour, parts of Accra flood again. And I'm sure you've grown tired of hearing of such stories, from the Kanishi area to different parts of the country, to even police quarters. It was not a joke. And I just think sometimes it didn't rain for so long. And this was the impact. I saw videos where people literally had to team up, about 20, 30 people, and then, form a circle sort of, or form a column so they could go through the water. Because if you went alone, you could get carried away in the 21st century.
Well, I think it's really unfortunate, and it proves the extent to which we are unprepared, the extent to which we have been so indisciplined over the years. And that's why I'm quite happy with the current regional minister we have, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, and the effort he's making to ensure that there is discipline, cleanliness is adhered to, and then, of course, people follow the laws. I think part of the problem has been that over the years, we have just abandoned rule of law, and people are building anywhere. Structures are being erected on waterways, and for the sake of individual benefits, we allow these things to prevail until such a time that there is a disaster. And I believe that if we all support the activities of the regional minister in terms of ensuring discipline, in terms of making sure that we, within our own communities, we do what is necessary, I believe we gradually will be able to overcome the challenge of flooding in our capital. Otherwise, the way things are going, if we don't take action now, we would, one day have a very, very devastating situation, and that perhaps would not be too long from now.
Staying on that beat, there are other stories, but the one I'll highlight from the Daily Graphic would dovetail into just what you said, the lack of discipline. But let me look at the other surrounding stories. Dasibre Otibuating laid to rest. That's on pages 24 and 57 of the newspaper. Colleges of Education hostel projects start June 1. Nation spends $230 million on injuries. Dollars, I mean. Dr. Oforibwedu discloses 4 die daily from trauma. But what I want us to focus on the Daily Graphic, I wish we could zoom in further. Right here. Right here. You would see a vehicle piled to the very top, to the very limit, with all kinds of things. Now, this vehicle is askew already. It is tilting towards its right. Anything could happen at any moment. It could crash that taxi passing right by it. And we all look on unconcerned. I remember, Suleimana, I will never forget, heading towards the La Paz junction, moving forward, in fact, towards Achimota. There was this time when I saw a vehicle piled with wood. It was just like this, askew, turned, slanting towards one end, piled with wood to the hilt. MTTD officers were on the side. This vehicle came and passed, and at a point, so I stopped and alerted them that, hey, should this vehicle, like the way it is, should it be on the road? I didn't get any positive answer. Who knows what could have happened that day if maybe God had not intervened. So it dovetails into what you're saying about indiscipline. I mean, everybody can do anything and get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think, yes, the acts of indiscipline, lack of enforcement of the law, and it appears that because of money, anything goes. And it cuts across literally every spectrum of society, from road users to market people to civil servants, public servants, private operators, to our politics. It appears that so long as it's about making money, it is fine. You can put up your structure anywhere. So long as it's about making money, you can load your vehicle and ply on the road just at any time and anyhow you want. So long as it's about making money, you can cut corners and award fishy contracts and all of that. So as a country, I think we are at a point where we need to really sit down, reflect, and see how we can enforce our laws. I believe if any government would want to truly and honestly enforce our laws, we would get to a point where people will start complaining about, the government being brute, the government being, high-handed and all of that. But that is what will develop this country. Until we get to that point, I don't know what will happen, because like I said, every aspect, every spectrum of society, the indiscipline is all over. The lack of rule of law is all over. People abusing the law. And because it is money, I would do it. And the police officer, because it is money, maybe I can tip him or her off.
Right.
And it's just...
Recently, there was a long vehicle that got stuck under one of our overpasses. I'm sure you saw the video and all of that.
Yes.
Creating huge traffic and all of that. And you know, if the regulations were working, it wouldn't even load to that height because we know most of these are 4.5 or 5 meters. Yet this person had done what he had done. And until that happens, where our infrastructure is getting affected, I mean, it's situation normal. We have Aaron reacting to this. He says, loaded vehicles on the street pose a danger and possible cause of accidents. And he enumerates a number of things. 1, lack of obeying road rules or road regulations. 2, lack of vigilance on the part of the MTTU to enforce laws on road users. And 3, a lack of proper education on the avoidance of overloading. But this is where we find ourselves, Suleimana. Let's make tracks.
It's all about enforcing the law, yeah.
Right. The Daily Guide newspaper, 15 assemblies blow 1.87 million Ghana cedis. Find the details there on page 3. Mahama is new ECG boss, not the other Mahamas, not the one in parliament and not the former president, but there's a new ECG boss. But what do you think about this one? Interesting. PPBS, the Police Professional Standards Bureau, probes Dofsu husband snatcher. So here are some details. The case in which a female Dofsu officer is alleged to have snatched the husband of a complainant has attracted swift attention by the police administration. In a new development, some 2 other complainants have revealed the ordeal they went through at the hands of some female Dofsu officers at the same office. One of the complainants, name withheld, said she reported a case of abuse against her husband to the Tema Dofsu 5 years ago with pictures of a swollen face and bruises. She said after giving out the details of her husband, the female police officer who was then handling the case called the complainant's husband to report to the station. So interesting dynamics, especially in this case where a Dofsu officer supposedly has snatched someone's husband. Oh yeah, the asema by Shesomaya. Your quick take.
Well, I think it's an interesting development, and it's great that the police administration has taken up the matter to investigate it. Sometimes these things, when they are reported and you don't get the real details, you may draw wrong conclusions. Police officers, as far as I know, are very professional people, and sometimes the kinds of things they may do to be able to unravel developments and unravel whatever they have to get to be able to resolve issues. For those of us who are sitting outside, we may sometimes even think that they've put themselves in positions of compromise. So it's important that professional investigations are conducted so that at the end of the day, if indeed the officers did something wrong, they can then be sanctioned. But it may also turn out that, look, the complainants were expecting some level of brute force on the persons against whom the complaints were filed, but they perhaps saw that, no, we are not seeing that. Right. The officer, who is a lady, is talking to my husband in a way that doesn't suggest that she is dealing with the suspect in the way that I want. And so I would rather file a complaint that this is what is happening. So I think we have to take it seriously, because if it is true, that is really unfortunate, and it will really undermine efforts to protect the rights of women. And as I said, we can only draw conclusions when investigations are concluded and the findings made known.
Okay. Let's wrap with these 3 stories. Get your quick bites on them in about 2 minutes, and it's a wrap. The first one, road crash deaths hit 943 in 4 months. That's in the Finder newspaper. 8.8% decline compared with the 1,034 fatalities in 2021 at around the same time. 943 in 4 months. There's also, I support free SHS, but it's time to review the policy. And that's according to Archbishop Palmer Buckle. The final one, some analysts are talking about our economy. That's in the BNFT. Inflation, not e-levy, tops concerns of most investors. They are concerned more with inflation than the e-levy. There's also Palmer Buckle saying free SHS good, but time for a review. And the other one in the Republic, the other story actually, road crashes. Your quick takes.
Well, I think for me, what's critical is the free SHS issue. It's a very important national intervention. It certainly has significant implications for the future of this country in terms of educating our young people and all of that. But it's also critical that it is implemented in a way that truly serves the purpose for which it was introduced. My worry since the initiative was introduced was how government introduced the policy and through actions made it too political to the point where head teachers, headmasters, school authorities were literally gagged. And this is real. Anybody who denies this is just being partisan and being overly political with the issue. If you have friends and colleagues who have the awards or children in secondary schools and you go for PTA meetings and all of that, you know what happens. You know what the teachers tell you. You know the complaints that they have, and they will tell you, but these are matters that we cannot speak up on. These are matters that we cannot make public. Well, it is up to you. We wouldn't call this PTA dues, but you guys should take steps and ensure that your wards or your kids get better conditions and so on and so forth. So it's a great policy, but because it was made as though it is the personal property, the personal thing of a party or a president, it ended up making it difficult for individuals to share their perspectives. Because I remember the president even complaining when Joy FM decided, look, let's give the microphone to individuals to share their experiences with free SHS. The president calls that a campaign against free SHS policy. So how do we have a national policy of such significance and yet people cannot discuss it? People cannot talk about it. The downsides of it cannot be raised, because if you raise it, it is taken to mean that you are doing a campaign against the policy. I think that what may eventually kill free SHS is that decision to gag people over it, that decision to make people go mute over it and look on whether things are going well or not well. As a country, we all need to embrace it, discuss it. What amendments do we have to make? What changes have to happen so that in the end, even if it turns out that, look, let us prioritize a certain section of the population to benefit from the program so that those who can pay and those who cannot pay are supported. That is the way to go. But the way things are now, that everybody should be quiet. If you raise any concern, it means that you are against free SHS. It's extremely unhelpful. And as I said, that is what may bring the free SHS program to an end.
Sule, thank you so much, Mr. Brima. I love interacting with you because of your bluntness. We're grateful that you joined us this morning. And that is Suleimana Brima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, joining us. Sports is up next, but before we go, today happens to be the birthday of Christabel Na Amanua Solomon. Christabel Na Amanua Solomon. Says today is your special day. We wish you the very best. May God bless you with every good gift. His choicest blessings. Do have a fantastic day. I'll be reaching out. Up next, sports.
It is back-to-back finals for Accra House of Folk in the MTN FA Cup after they defeated 10-man Dreams FC to reach the grand finale of the competition. It comes up against Bechem United, who is also making it to the grand finale for the second time in their history after doing so in 2016. And Chelsea, for the 6th consecutive time in 3 years, have lost a grand finale in Wembley as they were beaten by Liverpool in the FA Cup final. And former head coach of the Black Stars, CK Akuno, has been speaking about Ghana's group in the FIFA World Cup. He wants Ghanaians not to be worried of the opponents because he believes that it is just a matter of names. We've got these and many more here on AM Sports with
With me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Let's start with local stories where Accra Hearts of Oak came from behind to beat 10-man Dreams FC 3-2 at the Accra Sports Stadium on Saturday to reach the grand finale of the FA Cup. And they will be coming up against Bechem United, who also defeated Ediana Stars 2-0 on Sunday.
Here comes Augustine to the near side now. Avonyo does a lovely turn and flick. And that is the first goal for the Hunters.
He can't move because he can't see that ball. Good pass from Augustine Okra just to link up with Agbenyo. But look at Agbenyo. The moment he cuts it onto his right, he's looking to strike the ball and hits it so well.
Yahya Mohammed at the receiving end now. Brighter J finds Jenfi. Oh! The weather makes it up for Association Football. It's a free kick advantage. It will be. Oh, that's the second goal. Oh my word! Augustine Okra. And his shot was helped on.
But just look at the power behind the strike. Amazing hit over the wall, straight into the crossbar, but it hit the goalkeeper in return, and it's an amazing goal, super goal.
Those seems satisfied with the wall. Okra bounced off Avonyo and his goal number 3. No, says the referee. Clinton Dodu sends in a decent cross, but not strong enough. It's headed out. Opportunity for Bechem and a shot on target.
Dreams FC Simba, and that's the opening goal. Sylvester Simba puts Dreams FC ahead.
Boatin holds up the play well, and Hatsafok trying to control the game and play out from the back. It's Ansabochi gives away the ball to Simba.
Glasson Awaku, he's got York in the middle. Barnier is calling for it. Yes, he finds him. Good save from Kumsing, and that's the equalizer. Benjamin York brings the Phobians on level pegging.
So squeezes the ball into the channel for Barnier, who on the sharp turn troubles the goalkeeper.
All waiting for Simba's cross, and Simba delivers. And he comes out. Doesn't get so much on it, but eventually he's out of the Hearts of Oak 18-yard box. Siraj onto the pass from Ibrahim now. Siraj trying to look for Efria Barnier. What a goal! Daniel Efria Barnier makes it 2-1 for the Phobians. An amazing finish from Barnier.
Salusu again, the take of affairs. Barnier is making an intelligence running behind the defense. Goalkeeper should be making an angle to narrow it down, but he stays very much.
That's a late challenge on Mohamed Al Hassan from Ibrahim Isa. Is a straight red card. Wow.
Yeah, it's a late launch, but is it dangerous to land us on his ankle, doesn't it? More confidence in stepping out and helping them in defending.
Kosa with a through ball, and they get a third goal.
Because if you're not there, the goal doesn't happen. Siraj luckily gets the third goal for Hearts of Oak and maybe put the game beyond Dreams FC now in Hearts.
Safe, goes past Kosa, he sends a cross. Amankwa heads it down, is cleared by Kosa. Here is Simba. Another good save from Ayi, but he gives it away.
Simba's effort is good, but you're expecting Ayi to maybe then keep it out.
Ali will save. Here is Simba Sylvester. He puts it onto the path of Kakari. It's Kakari, and Kakari is over the bar. That was so close. The Phobians are through to the finals of the MTN FA Cup for the second consecutive.
Let's do national football team news, especially the Black Stars of Ghana. They have impaired alongside South Korea, Uruguay and Portugal for the FIFA World Cup that will be happening in Qatar later this year. Former head coach of the senior national team, CK Akuno, believes that Ghanaians should not be worried of the opponents because it is just the names of the countries.
Forget about the group. If you keep looking at them, you'll not be encouraged, because, well, you see them as above us, as a team that is bigger than us, a team that has but trust me, should we sit down and plan well like we did against Nigeria? Nigeria, we didn't need to win. We needed to get a draw, and that was enough. And so the same way, I'm sure, when the day comes to play in the world, first we have qualifiers to do. I think we need to focus there. As time goes on, we keep on preparing. I think the team itself is taking shape. we were in a situation where we were struggling during the COVID and everything. It was very, very difficult. Now things have calmed down. We have people who are working behind the scene as far as the national team is concerned. And I believe that should we do a very deep thinking about the game and how we should go, we will do it. And I strongly believe we have the men to do that thinking. Yeah.
You know, we are grateful. You gifted us Alexander Jiku, who is playing very, very well in your time. At the moment, we are looking at beefing up, the squad, and so players would like to join us. Based on your experience, how do you expect Ghana to manage these expectations of players coming to join them? So many names have been mentioned. How should we manage this window?
Well, I think that it shouldn't be a situation where they just come and play and then go back. They should also learn our culture. They should learn. It's part of it. If you don't know where we're coming from, it's wrong. You come and play and then you go. That's not what we're looking for. Of course, they are doing well in Europe, but it's not enough. They have to come here and get used to the system, get used to the people, and obviously they come for a few days and go, but they must gradually learn our culture and how we go about things. And then, but it is a very, very good thing we should do. We should try and get them, if any of these guys who, the Odways and the Lamtes and everybody who wants to come, I think we should get them.
It's another beautiful opportunity to have an interaction on matters bordering on national development. And fittingly, we find ourselves here being hosted by the man in charge of that as far as our country Ghana is concerned. I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Kojo Esim Mensah Abrampa. He is Director General of the National Development Planning Commission, and he's been gracious enough to grant us audience today. Doc, thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure.
And it's personally good to see you in person.
Great.
For the first time. Right.
It's good.
Tell me, how is the NDPC in 2022? How are you faring? How is the year turning out for the NDPC and Ghana?
It's very good for us here at NDPC. We know that there's a whole global challenge. Everybody is facing it, and we have our fair share of it, because we need to slice down on our budget and replan and review to be able to contain the priorities that we need to take through this year. This is the time planning becomes very practical, because then you need to look at your resources and what you need to do to keep you going, and that's exactly what we've done. It's something that reflects the country, and it reflects globally. Everybody is cutting down everywhere. Prices are going up. Whatever you budgeted for with a certain quantum cannot be able to fulfill, and therefore you need to find a way to accomplish the prioritized area to keep us going. And it's important. What we are doing here is also helping us to look at how we can reduce waste in general. Although we expect a certain minimum of waste from any process, here we're looking at virtually going to a 0 point so that we can optimize the resources that we have. And I think that it reflects what we are doing nationwide too. Everybody is talking about the budget cuts, avoiding waste, reducing travels, reducing energy use, and all these are things that for NDPC we've been doing it even at the good times.
Right.
Yeah, so as to optimize our budget.
So it's nothing new for you then?
For us, it's nothing new. It's professionally, that's our work, and then we bring it to bear in whatever we do here to avoid waste, to prioritize at any given point, go through a process of looking at alternatives and picking out the best.
Right. Have those budgetary cuts, though, hit you in a bit of a bad way? I mean, what has been the impact as far as the NDPC is concerned?
I think that for us, we've reprioritized. We are now looking at those things that are mandatory constitutionally to be able to respond to that, and also respond to our international obligations. And these are key things that we need to do. So we backtrack a bit of some of the research activities we're doing. Okay. We backtrack a bit at things that will look deeper into the future. But things that we need to do regularly, like our projections and using our model to project the implications of some of these things, you need to put in resources there. Whenever you get to a situation where there's a bit of instability, then you need to be able to, that's what planning is, identify the alternatives, identify new data, and then do new projections, develop scenario different scenarios as to how you can contain the situation. So that's where we are focusing now. Very, very important.
In 2022, even as you talk about the focus of the NDPC, what role are you playing? I know that in terms of your mission, your vision, you're an integral part of our socio-economic development, and diverse spheres of our, national life. But in 2022, what has the NDPC contributed? If I asked for tangibles, what would you tell me?
One of the things we've done in 2022, interestingly, is to look at the activities of the districts and for instance, be able to rank them in terms of the government priorities, how far they've come in attaining them. And this is one thing that we've done seriously, to be able to develop indices and be able to rank them as to how much they're helping in terms of water, sanitation, education, and these are all government priorities. And
that also feeds into the SDGs.
Exactly.
Poverty eradication.
Exactly.
And these are things that we'll get into later on as well.
That is it. And the Sustainable Development Goals is important because this year the high-level political panel committee at the UN is sitting. And this is the 4th year since we reported. So voluntarily we have to report this year. It's good because it brings out the image of the country. It tells us that in spite of all the global challenges, we are still pushing with our development agenda, and that is key. So this year in July, we are reporting to the world as to what we are doing by way of working towards the SDGs. The good thing about our strategy towards the SDGs is that we actually integrated all these targets into our own development plan as a country. So in pursuing our development plan, we are invariably also working towards attaining the SDGs and the targets. And that is good. So we've been reporting on our development process for the last 4 years. And what we're trying to do now is bring all these things to bear and culminate in what we can tell the world in 2022 as to how far we've gone with the attainment of the 17 goals and the 70 plus indicators and targets.
Well, it's interesting. Like I said, we'll get into that. In Vision 2030 is there. We have these 17 goals to play with. And of course, some of them, even in terms of the pandemic and other bits, have taken us back. I know we've made inroads when it comes to electricity, water distribution, but when it comes to the economy, when it comes to unemployment and all of that, we have quite a hurdle to climb. We'll get into those. But as far as the working of the NDPC is concerned, what would you say are your core bottlenecks, challenges in 2022?
Let me say that this is a professional institution, and we are supposed to advise the government on all issues related to strategic development planning, programming, and projects. And then also facilitating the development of establishing national priorities for the year, which goes into the budget and then the implementation. And therefore, if we get it wrong, everybody gets it wrong along the way. So our
So there's no room for error, is there?
At all. At all. We should get it right and make it as participatory as possible. At this point, we also need to involve the private sector, the civil society, different segments of people within the country in the development of national priorities. Once we do that, then we get it right. The challenge we are facing, and I must be very frank with ourselves, has to do with the capacity of NDPC itself. Much as we have very good technical people here who are doing the work, we need more to be able to accommodate the kind of work that we're doing. Coordination, which was quite a bit of hedgy, in fact a bit of weak 2 years, 3 years ago, and we are tightening that because that is important for avoiding duplication, for avoiding redundancy. You need to tighten coordination, and in doing that we needed expertise. This is and so, you know, employing the public sector, you need to go through the whole process. Clearance, technical clearance, financial clearance. And therefore, the tightening of the budget affects that in terms of clearance. So we're still being challenged in some of those areas. One of it has to do with, let's say, in the area of urbanization. We realized 2 years ago that we didn't have an urban expert here who could take up the issue of urbanization. At the time, we were approaching the Global World Forum, you know, the World Forum for Urbanization. So we worked through that and we couldn't secure that. So we had to rely on some of our people with knowledge in urbanization to rely on some of the staff at LUSPA, Land Use and Planning Authority, to rely on other staff from local government to beef up, to be able to do that. It meant that if we had, at that time, experts within, it helps in coordinating, because urbanization is also interdisciplinary. It involves knowledge in planning, engineering, social policy, economic, and therefore that gap really affected us. So our capacity is being challenged within this period. Another thing which I must bring it to bear is that we also have a lot of vacancies in terms of a directorship, which we've, brought it out for people have been earmarked for interviews, selected, but you need a clearance to be able to do that. And therefore, we're still at the standstill, which means that those of us who are here are doing double work and others. And that is why when you come to find me 7 p.m. here, you think that I'm just starting work, because I ought to do that. And so are the other staff, to be able to cover up for some of these gaps. And that is our basic challenge.
Right. So these are interesting challenges you bring up. And you took over in 2018. So when you talk about these bottlenecks, it means these are existential problems that have been around for quite a while. It also draws my attention, especially when you talk about the vacancies in directorship. In one of my last interaction with the former head of the NDPC, Professor Stephen Adey, he mentioned to me that, look, Ben, we have logistical constraints. Sometimes I want to hire manpower, but we simply don't have the resources. We don't have the capacity. So it means even now, that challenge still persists. But what then would you say is the way forward?
I think that we're really pushing it in the sense that we're definitely getting very close to having the financial clearance. But my prayer is that when we hire those people, they will be able to be sustained by the public, salary.
The public purse.
Exactly. Because these are high caliber people. You come here, we have about 10 plus PhD people here in economics and other areas.
And those people don't want peanuts. In fact, that was Professor Adey's fear, that
I really share.
Other private enterprise also wants them and is willing to pay top dollar, big money for them. So the problem is, even if you get them, will you be able to keep them?
That is one of the things that we try to do, and we use the kind of work which is here, relationship, interactions, and all those things. Sometimes it becomes more of the motivation than looking at the other side. The other thing is also looking at young, entrepreneurial people who would like to take this as a challenge in order to move to the next level. So if you're able to serve us 7 years, some years to go, and then it will be a challenge. And I must say that I went through the same. I worked here for 5 years between 2000 and 2005. Left to join the UN system, build myself, and then I'm back to NDPC.
You went to chop money small, and then you came back into this.
I'm back to NDPC, so it could be the same. So I'm not perturbed in any way if such people apply for the jobs, and they are young and very energetic. They want to do it. You groom them.
But moving on, is there a plan? I mean, now that you're head DG here, can you plan something so that beyond the, as we say, work for Nyame, Alago pay, nowadays young people don't understand that. They are looking at a bright future. Beyond that, can we have a policy where you reach out for the finest brains and also push them to give the nation what is expected of them? I mean, is that a plan the NDPC has?
In fact, I just came from a meeting just before our interaction here. It is on that. We have a committee which we have formed and is looking at the whole salary regime and the whole issue of motivation for really professional people who can take this and stay. That is the word, and stay. So we're really working towards that, and I'm sure that we have very competent people on the committee, including the Secretary General of TUC, who is a member of the commission. And
Dr. Yaban.
Yeah, Dr. Yaban, who are helping us to work through this process. And I'm very sure that when the recommendation gets to the President and the Minister of Finance, they'll give it an ear. Already we've had informal discussion with the decision makers, and it looks good because they see it. They see the relevance of NDPC, the output that will bring to bear on not only in government but the development of this country in the medium-term range, in the immediate range, setting up priorities, developing models which is able to anticipate some of these occurrences. We sit here and immediately we saw what was happening in Ukraine and Russia. We're able to anticipate and say, no, the way it is going, we have to look out our indicators. What are the major exports from Russia? what are the major exports from Ukraine.
Are you saying we're able to deal with some of those? Because I know we get a lot of wheat, we get a lot, I mean, our fertilizer inputs have been impacted, for example. So how exactly did the NDPC intervene?
So what we do is that we have what we call a development model, which integrates all these factors and relate to each other. In order not to bring in the big economic jargons, I would say that we are able to trigger what one does and then how it triggers the other. So if you are short of wheat, what is the implication? So we're able to do that and give an indication as to where there might be difficulties for the government to anticipate and then begin to think about it in terms of solutions. We look at it not only in terms of that, but even in terms of employment opportunities. Some of these things are triggers of jobs. And once they begin to go down, they affect some of these areas. And we do all those models, scenario, build it around, so that if it begins to, the assumptions begin to really materialize, you know the next stream of things that will follow, and then anticipate and take decisions. So that's what we do, because that's primarily our work, to advise and then indicate to government the directions and decisions. And then they do that. And it's one of the things which leaves the desk can go to advise the various sectors and the ministries what they have to do. So technical work is key. And these are the things that we do. Bring tomorrow's things into today's steps. Identify the risk around them, the challenges around them, and how best we can deal with the challenges and optimize whatever resources we have in order to respond to that.
So you've been forecasting as well. But now that we've set the tone for the conversation, I'd like us to look at what you've done in the last few days, recent times. You've been having interactions bordering on reviews, basically, of what you've been doing. You've had youth interactions, interactions with development partners, interactions with private enterprise, and all of that. Just walk us through what you've done these last few days and what you're going to do, because I know in the coming days you're going to do more.
Exactly. It's very interesting. What we are doing is part of a whole global setting. And a setup and engagement, because way back in 2015 every country committed itself into these development goals, the sustainable development goal with defined targets, and out of that we were able to develop plans to help us implement these goals and bring us to the attainment of certain targets, which responds to poverty, nutrition, education, health, gender, issues of water and sanitation, energy use, inequality. And it goes on and on, issues that has to do with jobs and sustainable employment, and then the impact on the environment. All those were expressed in terms of goals and targets. And what we do here is that we facilitate the implementation of that from our plan. So the plans have been done, indicating the areas and definite activities that ought to be done at the sector level, at the regional level, at the district level, and then involving the private sector, civil society, and all these activities will culminate in creating an environment which will be good for us as human beings to enjoy the best welfare we can get. But then there is also a supervisory institution, which is the United Nations. And we have a double job then. We report as a country, and our president co-chairs this committee, which is virtually overseeing the implementation of this SDG. So we have a double work. First of all, to make sure the image of our president is retained and maintained at this level, and then also report as a country. So we've developed what we call the voluntary review report of the SDG. And in doing that, one of the requirements is that it should be as participatory as possible. So though we do our annual report, which we submit to the government and parliament, this one is unique. Unique in the sense that you need to involve all the key stakeholders. And so we have given out the measurements based upon the census information. So far what we've done in the last, since 2015, and our performance. And we've given all these indicators and targets expressed. We're bringing it to the stakeholders to confirm whether these figures really represent what they also see, and then also to bring their own perception, the qualitative element, to add to it, and then also to be able to communicate to the country some of these things that we're doing. So for the last week, what we've done is that we've met key stakeholders. We've met already 3 of them. We met The private sector today, very interesting. We've met the youth, and we've also met the civil society for some of them. No, civil society, we're yet to meet them. I think we met the private sector, we met the, and the third one, let me say that I will remember. But very, very interesting interaction with them. Very, very interesting. I can remember the meeting with the private sector, and these are the bankers, the Association of Ghana Industry, construction, farmers, agribusiness. These are a number of them. And given what we presented and the comments that they made, it tells you that they are really on top, and they also have the knowledge and in the sectors that they are operating. And much as this is supposed to be for a global audience, we've also taken a lot of good information from these people, which I'm sure will go well into our policies in the country. But what is coming up is that there are sectors, as you indicated earlier, where we've done very well, exceedingly well. There are others where I think that we haven't gone anywhere, and we need to work out a lot to be able to catch up. If you take areas like education, for instance, if you look at the indicators, it looks quite good. Good in the sense that one of the indicators is gender parity. And within this space of time, we've been able to attain that at the primary school level, at the secondary school level. It is at the tertiary where we have a bit of challenge. And then also the push, the percentage from secondary to tertiary. The target was to hit about 40% by now, but we're still around 18. And then, but we hope that by 2030, we should be able to have 40% of those who leave secondary school getting into tertiary. We're just around 18% now. So that is also one area we need to look at critically, if we're able to close that much gap to be able to hit the 40%. But we've done very well with the basic and the secondary school education.
Right.
We also seen improvement in the quality, given the measurement that led to World Bank and even by our own Ghana Statistical Service to confirm. Health, yes, and I would say that if there's one good thing the COVID has done, it is the improvement in health facilities and response in terms of the knowledge of our human resource. We've stretched it because now we have the facilities, logistics for them to work, and then also to go to the extent that we're even setting up, a vaccine center for the country. I mean, this is something I don't think, had it not been for COVID, we would have thought about it for now. But these are things and strides we made in the health center, improving our health facilities, establishing an emergency center. These are all things that we've done within that period, which has really helped us to augment and then increase our performance towards attaining the health target.
Right.
Notwithstanding that, even with the regular measuring points, response to some communicable diseases and all that has improved. Hygiene has improved, and all these indicators to health is good, education is good. And then gender parity, we still have a challenge because we still have.
I've looked at the latest reports,
yes,
and there are issues to be tackled. Yeah. I know, like I said, when it comes to utilities, at least yes, those water, electricity, yes, the penetration has increased. Yes. I think with, is it electricity or water, it's moved about 6 points, yeah, 6 percentage points.
Exactly.
But when it comes to employment, yeah, when it comes to economic yes, growth, yes, when it comes to women's yes, issues, yes, we have quite a hurdle to climb.
Yes, it's true. Electricity with about 85% coverage, water we're around 87% coverage, and it's one of the best in Africa.
I think 86 from what I checked.
Yes. It's 86.6, which is about 87.
You're doing the rollover, statistical rollover.
So that is, but in terms of economic, if you look at the figures and the pursuit, it looks good, but for the dent
right,
in the COVID period, and post-COVID is becoming even more serious because of the global happenings in Russia and Ukraine, and it's affecting us. Inflation has jumped, from a single digit and it's gone up. All these indicators are there, but I look at it in terms of how does this reflect in our own lives in terms of job opportunities? And these are also, if you look at the figures, it looks like there's just a marginal increase in terms of unemployment if you look at the figures. But in reality, you look at where it is hitting most, the youth. So if you bring it to the general effect of unemployment, it is quite serious, but not very serious.
Well, now that you bring in unemployment, I mean, I'll just chip this in because it was something that I really, in addressing the SDG goals, I wanted us to get into. One, SDG 1 focuses on poverty, which is an issue we have to look at. SDG 8 then talks about, and maybe if I'll just, it focuses on decent work and economic growth.
Exactly.
And that is another crucial point, because when you look at where we are as a country, in 2010, unemployment rate, and that in itself is problematic because sometimes getting data in Ghana when it comes to unemployment is a problem. It's a problem we all accept. So an internet portal like Statistica would have a 4 point something when another portal has something else. But we were looking averagely at around 5.3%.
Exactly.
At the last census in 2010.
Yes.
As of today, it's almost tripled because we are looking at about 13.4%. And when it comes to that portion you're speaking of, the youth, 15 to 24, we are looking at about, some project, 32.8%.
Let me put it this way. If you look at the census, the base has changed. The data, the way, the interpretation of unemployment in 2010 has changed compared to 2020.
So what exactly is the difference?
So the difference is that now you can't compare the two in terms of trend because the definition is very different. At first it was using it as a total population.
Right.
But now it's using it as 50, it's using it as, at first it was like if you are not looking for a job, you are unemployed. You are not working. But if you are not looking for a job, you are not counted as seeking for a job. But now, even if you are within the age bracket of working, and you are not looking for a job, you are still counted as unemployed.
What I gather from what I've read and heard is that they are looking at the economically active population.
Exactly. And it makes more sense.
Right.
Because somebody might have given up. I've been looking for a job for many years now, I've given up. Doesn't mean that the person is not actively seeking job, therefore the person is content with the position that the person is in. No. So the change might have brought up that wave of unemployment seen in that way. And I think that even in the census data, they've made that note. So the comparison might not be that akin. You cannot compare the two.
But still, if you're looking at some 13.4%, which reflects about 1.55 million of our young people, that is quite something to grapple.
So looking at that quantum today, you are not looking at the rate. You are looking at that quantum, which is staying at home and not working. It is a problem. Yes, it is a problem. And so you might not be comparing to 2010, but even as it is, as a static situation, it is. Because if this number of people are saying that we don't have a job, 13% is still alarming. It's quite alarming. But I think that it's something that should have been anticipated, and we knew that.
Right.
Because we have what we call demographic bulge in the middle. There are a lot of people who are now within the youthful age, because there was a big base 10 years ago, a lot of children birth, but now this has reduced, which means that the middle bulge of our population pyramid is expanding.
In fact, the projections tell us that by 2050, not just in Ghana, by 2050, the continent will have the bulk of the population being the youth.
And this is the biggest asset, but it could be a huge liability.
Right.
Depending on how you handle this population.
Of course, if you don't groom them, you don't give them the right skills, then they become a liability.
So that is the focus, in fact, that has been the focus in our medium-term development plan. How do we give these children the right skills, the right knowledge, the right ability to be able to tap into the new world where they found themselves? And this is key. And so, if you look at the educational policies in this time, in the last 5 years and even before, the focus has been how do we develop the technical skill and the knowledge of the people to be able to tap into this. And if I should go into a bit of theory, which underlies a lot of our assumptions, you see, the development trend of the country has been reliance on primary resource development, mining, agriculture, lumbering. That has been the part.
Now oil.
And now oil. And so it is suspected that when you have that base and you develop, it naturally leads into industry and manufacturing process, because these things must be processed and refined, and then it goes on. And then out of that, a lot of services are developed, financial services, insurance, and all that, that is supposed to support this industrial area. The situation in Ghana's development looks quite unique. Unique in the sense that the economic theory is based on W.W. Rostow and all those people's theory. But now it has moved from huge primary base, jumped the industrial manufacturing process to services. So service is pushing us, agriculture is pushing up, and industry and manufacturing, which actually creates sustainable jobs, is not picking up. Why? Because the linkage between the industry and our resources has not been established. So we do the primary production and export. So it jumps it and it goes outside. Then the other services around it are developed. And therefore, consciously, what we are doing and pushing at NDPC and is to have this link between primary production and industrial link. So how do we develop the agricultural chain so that it includes processing? So if we look at a lot of the things that
so basically you're talking about adding value.
Adding value. And not only that, but also our minerals. You know, bauxite, manganese, and all that. So I'm sure one of the things we have propagated right in our plan, and is being pushed by the government seriously, is the integrated aluminium industry. I mean, this is something which is the base of every industrial revolution we have in this world.
I mean, you can't do anything without it. And it is interesting that as a country, look at our sheets and all of that. I mean, it's in everything.
Yes.
When it comes to construction, it is everywhere. Yet, like with gold, we always want to send gold bars out. They go to the United Arab Emirates and other countries, the Switzerlands and the rest, and come back to us as trinkets and the rest, and we buy them at exorbitant prices.
So this is where we need to fit in. That is the focus. And we're hoping that if we're able to bridge this within the medium term, range of 5 to 8 years, to change the dimension, it will help us a lot.
So do we have a plan for the next 5 to 8 years in that respect?
We have a medium-term framework which is looking at this whole industrial revolution, looking at the employment of ICT, looking at the whole issue of providing the necessary human resource capital to be able to feed into this process.
When I ask about this plan, is it a plan, for example, if any young person went to the website of the NDPC, would you see that? I know that most of what you do is available there. Do we have a concrete plan that points to that in the next, 5 to 8 years?
Anybody who has looked at our website will find the medium-term framework, which indicates the policy range and the actions for which every, possible alternatives have been analyzed and projected where we are going. And in addition to that, it has even the specific sector strategies. In addition to that, it has district plans, which are all linked up in this process. So it's not just one national plan. The sectors are reflecting that, the districts are reflecting that. When we talk about industrial parks, it's not just Accra, it's industrial parks in the country. When you talk about car assembly plants, it's not just having it around a particular industrial area, but this is noted in other places. When we talk about integrated aluminium process, which I'm talking about, and not only that, also iron and steel. If you have iron and steel and then aluminium, this is the basis of every industrial revolution, and oil, energy is the basis. And this is what we want to really take advantage and look out for and push it. We have a long-term perspective where there is a takeoff point. And this is where we are now, the takeoff point. And the takeoff point is being able to harness all these resources, including our human resource, to be able to get to the next level. And if you look at the history of economic development in all these countries which left us behind, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, and others, they went through this kind of thing. And this is why this whole thing that we talk about, one district, one factory, is not just theory, but it's serving as the base to take off as a country to move and link up the primary production to the industrial rather than jumping over for many years.
Okay. So, Doc, in terms of 1D, 1F, we've heard so many things, so many projections, and as of this point, if I were to put it categorically to you, bluntly, which areas of 1D, 1F so far would you feel we have, or the NDPC is targeting, areas that feed into the things we're talking about, private enterprise getting in, youth, development and all of that, which, if I asked you for 5 that you felt were core areas that, the NDPC could say, look, this is it, we're feeding into it, which ones would you target, or which ones would you mention?
Let me start by saying that, we've gone through, this is not the first time we're going through an industrialization process. We've made several attempts. But this one is looking at the private sector taking the leadership of this process. And the government serves more as a facilitator. This is the first time we are using that dimension. In the past, it's been government leading, government building factories here and there.
And we all know how that ends.
Yes,
but it's interesting that we've spent so much time, because other jurisdictions, I mean, you don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, that's about
You learn from best practices, and all these other countries that have industrialized used what we've always failed to use.
Exactly.
So why did it take us this long, though?
Anyway, that's
something for the gods to answer.
Yes, that's it. But the point here is that once you get the private sector going, then it means that the consciousness is on the efficiency, and industrial opportunity and advantage is on efficiency. So this is one of the things that we're going through. One of the areas which was clear right from the beginning was agro-processing.
Right.
And if you look at that, it's one of the areas where, fortunately, the teething industries within the 1D, 1F also started from. The production of juice, processing of rice, providing even agro tools. And now not only that, but that's triggered also a lot of small-scale processing activities starting around that.
Right.
So you get gari processing, and you'll be surprised that people are exporting gari in much more quantity than used to be, some 10 years ago.
Right.
And it's now that they even have competitors, because a lot of the Latin American countries have also started, processing it, but they're still on it. One of the areas which was also targeted has to do with the whole area of garment and fashion and that. We had a huge opportunity in the past, agua, where we're giving some preference of export to America and those things. But you see, we couldn't take full advantage of that. But this is yet another opportunity. People have learned from it what to package, standards, and all that. And these are things that you need to develop integrated process. It's not just setting one factory and you have it. It has to do with even precision.
Right.
If you ask yourself what is large in Ghana, what is the size large? I tell you, bring 100 tailors, and I'm sure you might
get. It would be problematic.
Exactly. Right. What do we mean by certain stitches and the names and all that? So we are going through a whole refinement of skills, of knowledge, of the ability to be able to really develop the garment industry for the first time in a very big manner. And this is important. And even the quality of the cloth and the cotton that you use. These are all things which
these are core areas that are being targeted, and you're feeding into that as an NDPC.
Because you need to look at this whole plan.
Right.
One of the areas which I might be very clear here is on what we call precision quality. In fact, we're working with the Standards Authority, we're working at TVET, Core VET, and all that secretariat to be able to develop standards, to be able to develop policies which shape this. I ask the question always, what is the standard door size in Ghana? Every mason has his perception of what a door is. Every carpenter will tell you what their door is. And sometimes some of these Turkey-made, Chinese-made doors, which are standard, you want to fix it to your house. If it's an older house, you might have to break walls.
Right.
So these are all things. So NDPC is not just looking at setting up the factory, but we're looking at the fabric of how this factory can work and be sustained.
So in other words, your advice goes into all of these segments as well in terms of shaping our national life.
Yes.
But even as you talk about these, you spoke about a 5 to 8 year plan.
Yes.
That is short term.
Yeah.
Do we have a long term? I see it to be short term because there are countries that have what? I mean, their medium term, they are looking at 15 to 20 years, long term, 40 years plus. Even China, where it stands, is doing what it does.
You just spoke about the challenge of data.
Right.
So if you have a challenge of data, you don't go into the blinds.
I get that.
Yeah.
But we've had situations in the past, and I remember Osafo Mafo and some comments, back then.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into too much of that, but do we have a long-term plan? And if we don't, why not?
We have what we call a long-term perspective. Because a plan or a long-term vision and perspective, where do we want to go as a country? And those require certain requirements and targets. Okay, so we have what we call Ghana at 100, which is what should I say, summary of the interpretation of a very deeper work, which started from 2015, looking at the long range of activities that we can do in the past, going into the future. And this is a 40-year range of a plan, which ought to be reviewed at any given time.
Have we been doing that review?
Yes, that's our work. We do that, and we look at so many parameters. Because when the COVID came, it challenged every assumption. Because the plan goes through a range of projections. But immediately COVID came, we had to look at the whole thing again.
But don't we always make excuses? I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm speaking more for maybe Ghanaian youth who feel that we're not seeing much development, and it's always excuse after excuse. Do you remember Vision 2020?
Yeah.
That was what, 90-something, early 2000s.
You see,
look at where we've got to. I mean, the SDGs, when we want to talk about them, 2015, 2016 rollout, we had our own projections. Yeah. When you look at the 17, yes, we can look at the impact of COVID. We can even look at the impact of the Russo-Ukrainian war. But it would appear that in some areas it's always one step forward, 2 steps backward.
No, let me put it this way. You see, long-term range is important. Like the 40-year range of a plan tells you certain things that you ought to undertake every quarter, every medium-term time, sequentially to be able to reach there. So you have 8 different segments of plans, 5-year apportion each of that. The first 5 years, what do you do? What is the focus? That is what we call a perspective plan, the long-term plan. The next second term, so you have a foundation build, take-off time, consolidation, and then you look at what we call, after consolidation, you look at alternative, future. So these are things that we have in the 40-year plan. Immediately you go into the specifics of calculating this and that and this and that. Then you spend a lot of time on the around the issues, but the issue is that 40 years.
But those two are important, aren't they?
Those are long-term projections which you do, and it guides you.
Pardon my interjection, but is that not part of why? And later, when I share with you Professor Okwe's perspective, you will get why I am asking this question. Is that not part of why our development is also stilted? The short term, what you can see, what you can immediately envision, is important, but what you can forecast, what you can project, what even you feel. Look at our situation when it comes to COVID-19.
Yes.
If we had been more proactive and forecasting when it comes to vaccine manufacture and all of that, wouldn't it have been caught pants down? That is what I mean.
Let me put it this way. You see, you have all those projections done. We can project, and we have done it. We know what we anticipate as a country to be in 40 years. We want to see ourselves as a developed country, which was way back from the Vision 2020.
Is that realism, or is that a pipe dream?
No, it's something
is it realism in terms of the planning?
Exactly. And then we want to have a GDP per capita of $50,000. We want to have all these
Amen to that.
Yes. Then you ask yourself, coming back, what do we do now to be able to achieve that? Then you break it into segments. If you want to have 50,000 per capita income by 2057, how much growth should be expected in every 5 years? What do we do in terms of segment of emphasis? So we have the first year, which we normally call a foundation year. You build the structures and the systems. And one of it is the digitization.
Right.
It's building
and of
the
course,
systems.
I've seen that.
Yes.
As far as the processes are concerned. I have read that, and at least we know that there has been a lot of.
And then also look at the whole public service, because that is the delivery machinery.
Right.
So how efficient is that? And one of the things we've done in the past is to look at targeted areas where there could be improvement to serve as a model for improving the others. So DVLA is one of them, passport office is another, business registration point is another, the civil service, what we call the data management, the civil service is another. So these are all areas which builds the foundation. Then you can look at, we are now in the second range of a long-term perspective. The second range then begins to ask, that's the period for takeoff, and I described that in the line, bringing the industrial to link up with agriculture.
Right.
So it goes on and on. But you see, you don't lose hope when you are in the second range and then looking at the end. We want to be a developed country, yes, but these are the things you need to go through to be a developed country. Right. One of it, which is clear now, is that if you want to be a developed country, you have to enhance your internal revenue. Clear. We are a middle income country. The average for the middle income countries for GDP, revenue to GDP, is in the range of 25 to 30. We're hovering around 13%. We're nowhere near that. How do you work on that? So these are all things you think through in that phase of the long term.
So at least when it comes to revenue, while we have quite a huge gap to catch up with, even when it comes to the tax bracket, at least the GRA has not been performing too badly. We know that last year, at least per their reports, they even overshot their target and all of that. But sticking with development and briefly on this, we also have Agenda 2063. Which is the African Union perspective that we have fed into. How does all of this feed into that?
You see,
how do we plug in?
Yeah, as I indicated at the beginning, we learned from the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, where we're reporting on different bases and phases. So NDPC was developing a report for UN, a report for AU, a report for the country, and now what we did with the plan was that we integrated all this into the national plan. So whatever SDG is looking at, whatever Agenda 2063 is looking at, it's all part of our medium-term framework and our long-term perspective. And therefore, in developing the plans and implementing the plans that we have, we are attaining the national targets, we are achieving the SDGs, and then also responding to the AU demand. So if you look at the reports that we make, we are now up to date. Because once we develop the data and the base, we only have to identify the targets for AU. So AU, for instance, we're one of the few countries that was apt with our report. The same thing with the SDG.
Right.
So we're now developing the national report and be able to extract these two reports from that and respond to it. So we've been doing quite well when it comes to that because of the way we adapted it. The plan contains all these targets. So whatever we did in 2017 as the medium-term framework and then also the coordinated program contains all these range of other activities that we need to respond to. That is it.
Do tell me, so now that you make mention of all of this, I have a bit of an interesting question. You are largely funded by government, right?
Yes.
Or is it totally funded by government?
No, it's a government.
Do you have any IGFs?
No, we are not supposed to. We are
purely reliant on
we are not supposed to generate.
How independent then would you say the NDPC is? And I premise the question on something.
Yes.
How independent is the NDPC?
You see, NDPC is a constitutional institution.
Right.
We're straight from the Constitution. We have our acts and all that. Yeah. So that is what makes that independent. As far as the Constitution goes. So nobody can take that power which has been enshrined in the Constitution from us in terms of our role as defined.
But are you autonomous?
Where autonomy means what?
Where autonomous means you can maybe even regardless of your appointing power, you can do the right thing, say the right thing, make certain projections, and not be muzzled or have your arm twisted by whichever person or institution is in power.
Okay.
At,
Let me put it this way. You go back to the Constitution. And if you look at the Constitution, what it says in terms of our functions, and it's well defined by 87 that we are to advise the president. Okay?
And advice can be taken or rejected.
Exactly. So that is what, and so far as we are concerned, that is the role the Constitution says we should perform.
Do you feel that should change?
Well,
especially as a lot of people are from the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission under, may so rest in peace, Professor Mills and all of that. Do you feel that should fundamentally change? And I'm just going to link it to what Professor Okwe, former Speaker of Parliament, has been saying. He says he wants the NDPC to be autonomous, devoid of all this political party wrangling. He's talking about members of such a commission coming from independent sources, whatever that means, including academia, civil society, religious bodies, and that you must have autonomy.
You see,
do you agree with him?
Let me put it this way. I will not be the person to say whether I agree or disagree. I'll be the final.
Are you avoiding saying it because you're in the hot seat?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm a professional, and I know how this is done. There are so many areas and different types of development commissions. I've had the opportunity to work globally, and I've worked with commissions in different phases, different characteristics, and all that. And for you to make, a straight statement, okay, it should be autonomous and not autonomous. You should look at the whole alternatives and the whole array of things that are happening globally. If you have
so in our context, I always like context, because even when it comes to democracy, I always say that, look, our brand of democracy, is it serving us in the ways that it has served other people? How do we contextualize it? Democracy in India is different so in this context, how do we place it?
In terms of the architecture, it's not just looking at NDPC. If you take out NDPC and you say, okay, this must be given to it, it must be autonomous, and I hear the argument, this must be made authority, and that is why we are going through the whole quandary of issues. We have to look at institutional development in a holistic manner. If NDPC is independent or autonomous as described, what is the role of the other institutions? So you have to look at it in relative terms. And if you look at it in the commission, the comment on the proposal by the commission that NDPC should be made a certain way, there was also the argument from the other side. Why? Because we have a mixture of so many types of democracy and the institutions that we need to look at. So I would not like to go straight for that if you should ask me, because what will be the role of the other institution? What power are they holding relative to NDPC?
So you differ in opinion from what
I don't differ, but I have to look at what he has also proposed for the other institutions, because it's a balance. If you raise up NDPC, we have seen it in other countries where there is what we call technocracy instead of democracy.
Right. Okay. So again, we must put it into that perspective.
You have to look at that, because NDPC is not an elected institution. It doesn't get the direct vote of the people to put it in place. But governments are elected by the people. At the end of the day, if a technical institution and the government interaction must be defined by both of them, the powers that they have. Without looking at the other, you cannot push the other out.
Okay. So, Doc, whatever has a beginning also has an end. It is only God who has no end.
That is it.
But it's been quite an interaction. But as we wrap, I would like to, I know you've had some engagements with the UN in recent times, of course, feeding into the SDGs and all of that. I would have you touch briefly on that before you address for us what we can expect from the NDPC, especially as young people. I always like to reflect, because I'm a young person myself, what we can expect from the NDPC in 2022 and moving forward.
Yeah, let me say that with the UN, this is very interesting. Interesting in the sense that it's the most interesting times, I would say, globally for planners, because we are challenged with information here and there. But the message we are sending to them is that we are burdened back. And the glory days of Ghana is not over. It is still ahead of us, because we look at the COVID and the way it impacted on us. And that is what UN is looking at, how we're still on our track towards attaining the SDGs. We are not perturbed in any way. We are burdened back. And if you see what we've been doing, even in the areas which were most affected by the COVID, we are still pushing and be able to do that. And specifically, we're looking at a point where we are saying that, look, if you want to change your system, it's when you are down that you use the opportunity to build back better. So we are looking at our structure in terms of institutions. We are targeting the youth. We are targeting those who are outside, who might be touched ordinarily by the normal development process. The children, the women, the people who are in far locations, and how we can be reached by still with social services. One of it, and in the health sector, one of the areas include the introduction of the ambulance service, the drone, and all these things that it means to reach out even to more people and create access. One of the things we also look at is jobs and employment. And this is core to the whole message that we are sending.
Right.
That we are focusing on the youth. We are going to tap into the already existing skills to be able to define areas where we can put in more resources for development. But in addition to that, also provide avenues for new skills,
right,
new knowledge for the youth, so that they can also enter into the new world with a new and change opportunities for them. Let me end here by saying that, look, for NDPC, it is a forum for bringing all these ideas to fertilize. And we consistently have interaction with the youth, and whatever program that the nation is bringing up, we look at it specifically on how it impacts the youth. How is AFTA impacting the youth? How is 1D, 1F impacting the youth? How is the planting for food and jobs impacting the youth? And that is the scenario we always build, and then give feedback to the respective sectors, where if you want to, for instance, in agriculture, if you want to bring in the youth and be active, then you need to modernize. It is not just using the cutlass and the hoe as my grandmother used. No, we need to modernize. If you want a lot of more people to go into active agriculture, then you don't go for acres of land, but how to make it compact and use scientific method, such that even the person even has 1 acre,
right,
they can make a lot out of. And that's what the youth require. Scientific methods, introduction of some of these things which are knowledge-based, and they can develop that. And this comes from school, from education, from training institutions. And these are key things. So if you look at the education system, it's also going through the most revolutionary process in its entire, since
some would say it is being touched too much. And I always reference a country like Cuba, where I schooled for a year. Yeah. If you know the history of Cuba and how post the embargo and so many other dynamics they faced, within a short space of time, they were able to radically build up their literacy rate. Until today, they're thriving on that. You see the impact, because apart from that, with the embargo, and yes, it's been eased up a bit, especially under Obama and now under Biden, but you see that it's education that has held them up, basically. And so, and only time will tell.
That's clearly one of the key directions we're going. So you see multiple policies coming from a sector. Sometimes people look at this, too many changes, but the ability to sustain yourself within this change, which brings about not only a tick, but a transformation.
Right.
So that is the agenda we're going through.
Okay.
I went to a technical university for my PhD. And when I look at what I went through there and what I see, we're getting there. My university specializes in only 3 things: planning, mechanical engineering, ICT. And it has one of the biggest faculties in planning in Europe, the biggest faculty in ICT. They have one of the best scientific parks when it comes to ICT, and then also mechanical engineering, such that even at the school, we're not using roads, we're using flying trains. And these are practical things done by students.
And these are, it's always been said, our TVET, for example, the technical aspect is what we are, and no country develops. You look at Germany and its development, and that is how it got there. But we have to conclude the conversation. I just want to conclude with this bit. It got me interested. I posted it today on social media, and maybe I'll just share with you, because I think as a country, our development is too jerky. And maybe as I share this with you, maybe we can break this jinx, this curse.
Yes.
It's from the Daily Graphic, dated Saturday, January 20, 1968. And the caption is, 250,000 bees quit Ghana without producing a pint of honey. Believe it or not. Almost all the 250,000 bees imported into Ghana from the United Kingdom by the State Farms Corporation in 1965 have, quote, swarmed away from the Pukwase farm. The rest were devoured by lizards and birds. It was learnt at the Pukwase farm yesterday being, of course, that day. It is believed that the bees may have returned to their country of origin. Imagine that. This is what the story says. According to an official of the farm, the bees imported for establishing a honey industry made off without producing a pint of honey. Thousands of cedis worth of, and thousands of cedis then, millions of cedis today. Worth of equipment, one of the most modern in the world, imported to keep the bees, are therefore lying idle at the farm. Hopefully, with the NDPC in place, we can break that curse. But thank you so much for
thank you.
interacting with us. And we wish you the very best on this journey.
That is it. And we're going to make it, I know, especially given the support we're receiving from the public. And the wishes and the expectation, it pushes us to go to the next level. And I know that come 2030, when we are reporting to the world, it will be different.
And this has been our interaction with Dr. Kojo Esim Mensah Abampa. Did I get it right?
Yes, you got it very well.
Director General of the National Development Planning Commission. It's been a pleasure coming into your office. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
And for you out there, thank you for watching. Welcome back. So that was our first big story for you today. We'll soon be bringing you that other one, and I'm excited about it when it comes to the FDA and whether they have the capacity to test for certain things and whether they've been testing in other areas. But before we get into that, so you heard me interacting earlier with the Director General of the NDPC. It paints quite a picture, right, when it comes to our development in this country.
And for a country that has a commission like that, you wonder why up till now we're still having a conversation about governance in continuum. So one government comes and then they have a different agenda for education, and then the next comes and then scraps it, and then so it's almost like one step forward, two steps backwards, and it appears to be something that's really affecting us. In fact, some have even suggested that we increase the term we give to each government so that a government
they can have more time to do more.
Yeah, to do more and to execute a certain policy or plan beyond.
But is that something you would
years.
subscribe to? I mean, France, for example, has a 5-year tenure. Emmanuel Macron is in his second 5-year term, which is 10 years. And we've seen what has happened in the Ivory Coast with Alassane Ouattara, who even extended his term. Would that be the way to go? For me, I don't know what your take is, but for me, if we were getting the right things from our leaders, because sometimes then you are constrained. You are tied to a leader who may be performing woefully, and we've seen many of them on the African continent, and there's nothing you can do about it because you have to wait for his or her term to run out. I don't know where you stand on this discussion.
So, I mean, it's either this or that, but you have to pay a price either way. So, are you willing to give the person more time to execute that agenda, or you would rather have government change every now and then unfortunately there doesn't appear to be a national agenda, and then you're going back and forth, with this 3-year, 4-year thing, even with high school education, it's very problematic. But I would have wished that our document, the 40-year plan that we have, we would have stuck to it, so that when every government comes, we say, this is what we as a people of Ghana decided. Come and execute it. Benjamin took us to this point, then it's now your turn to take us to the next. But if we keep leaving it to each government to decide what to do with each sector, if we aren't careful, we may not see real progress, unfortunately. But it appears that the issue a lot of people have with the commission, that it should be seen to be biting harder and insisting that, you know what, we have a development planning commission, we have an agenda, and we must, you know, make that agenda successful.
Well, I also, you know, in interacting with him, there was a bit about where we hope to go, let's say by 2050 and all of that. And I look at some of the projections. Interesting. I mean, even GDP per capita and what we should see. But sometimes you look at where we are now in, what, 2022, at 64 years. We have 6 years left to get to 100 years. We've basically chalked 2/3 of that time. What do we have to show? So these are all concerns. Sometimes when you look at, we started so well. I always go back to the colonial period and then the period with Nkrumah.
Early days, yeah.
We started so well. I mean, I can just imagine if we had continued on that tangent or even did better, done better, where we could have been. We waited till what? The 80s and 90s, when the likes of Lee Kuan Yew's Singapore really took off. Yes, 70s, 80s, but in 3 decades, they basically moved from third world to first world. And our compatriots back then, the Malaysians and the other, what we call the Asian tigers now, look at them and look at us.
Yeah, it all comes down to leadership for me, really, Benjamin. We have to be very frank about that. So I remember my auntie was telling me a story of how Ghana used to be when she was young, and the school bus would come at a certain time. And she wasn't in a private school, mind you. And the school bus would come at a certain time, and if you missed it, I mean, it was such a well-structured country. You know, there was, we even tried to reintroduce it, the town council, you know, where they come and they ensure that you've got things. What do we have now? Some will think I'm exaggerating, but it appears to be total chaos. I mean, people build anyhow. There's no structure. There's no plan. Even when there's a plan, people have their way around it. So you look at the city and we are scattered, no refuse, even for those who have, you know, have subscribed to companies that will come and pick their rubbish. It's not done. Like, you know, yeah, and it's very frustrating, you know. And so you're sitting back and you're hearing all these stories of the Ghana before, what it used to be, you know. And then you wonder. We're
supposed to be getting better with time. But it appears the past is better. And even that brings to mind, you know, the whole thing about the school feeding program. And look, we're feeding everyone on 97 pesos, less than 1 Ghana cedi.
You know what?
I mean, our prisoners, for example, we've been complaining when we had Operation Efiasi and the rest, because they were what? Was it 1 cedi 80 pesos or something of the sort per day? Per day. You're feeding these students on 97 pesos. And ask yourself what you can do with 1 cedi.
And these are children who are at a stage where they need a lot of nutritious meals. Look, you cannot give a child even 1 cedi as a parent in today's Ghana and expect, yes, I know the whole thing of when you cook in bulk is cheaper, yes, but 97 pesos is way too small.
And no wonder those who are cooking are saying,
yes,
you know what,
we
can't do this, we can't do this anymore. But you know why I brought that in? Again, those who benefited from education under Nkrumah, you know, interestingly, there were those, we have our uncles and aunts and all of them, those who benefited from schooling in Romania, Germany, even Russia, among others. And they tell you about that time. I remember, because I'm an old vandal, they'll tell you back then how in your hall you would have chicken. In fact, they were spoiled in a way. So they could decide today, you'd have a whole drumstick to yourself and all of that. Today, look at accommodation in our universities. Look at the cost of food.
It's sad. And I don't know why it appears on every side. Look at power, for example. So we were relying on hydro. The population kept growing. And it was as if we just folded our arms and we were waiting for some miracle to happen before we realized we've been hit with all this demand, you know, underserved areas. And then it appears that we are panicking all over the place. It's the same with education. As the numbers grow, you can project based on research that, look, every year, this is the number of students we get. So let's plan for them. You know, why haven't we put up, you know, university hostels to accommodate these students? You have four,
well, some have been put up, some are being put up, but you ask yourself,
doesn't
the cost.
match exactly, and is it proportional to the numbers? And so you have all these private hostels who are ripping parents off. Look, it will shock you that a child in university today is paying more than a worker who is paying a year's rent. If you consider the amount they pay each term.
Come to think of it.
Yes, is that bad? Is that
but
bad?
You know, some are also building. I think just in order not to get it wrong,
they are.
Some universities are also saying that if you want us to construct hostels for you, you must be willing as parents to pay more.
Yes, I appreciate that. And even in Legon, quite recently, they've put up new halls. But I'm just saying that the numbers, when you look at the numbers that are coming in against the development, you realize that there's a big disparity.
That's why. That's why they open the links for these hostels and whatever, and in less than a minute it is gone because population and...
I don't know if she's watching. Hello, MF Nancy. It's been a while. But I remember, yes, Dradosi, I remember there was a day during the newsroom meeting, we were all talking about this issue of accommodation for university students. And she told me, I mean, I was shocked. I went to JIJ and we didn't have an on-location resident. So I didn't have any...
Now you do. There are some at the other campus.
Yeah, but the old campus, didn't have that. So I never experienced that. And she was like, look, people stay awake just waiting for a portal to open. Why should it be so?
Good questions when it comes to our national life. But Bernice, would you like to bring in Samuel Kojo Brace?
Yes, and obviously you know the show is just about you, and we are concerned about what matters to you. So today, Samuel is in town, as we've been discussing. He's finding out from you what the ideal Ghana is. What's the ideal Ghana you want to see? Hello, Kojo. Tell us what people have been sharing with you.
What is your ideal Ghana that you want to see? Well, let me start off with this man. But remember that you can join us with your thought and comment on our social media handles, and we will share it with the rest of the world. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, boss.
I hope you're well.
Yeah, by His grace.
So, when you think about Ghana, what is your ideal Ghana you want to see?
Yeah, I want to see Ghana in a way that everybody will feel comfortable and things that supposed not to be should always be put aside, and then everybody will feel comfortable. For instance, like just recently rain. Everywhere Kaneshi got flooded. Construction work are no more the way we want to see the construction. Even they take a huge amount of money. We're supposed to see everything in a good shape, but it's not like that. Where I'm standing now, circle, they just constructed the place, but the gutters are small. So each time, every time that there is a rain, the whole place will get flooded. So we will be in the city for our various workplaces, and before the rain will start, everybody will be feeling uncomfortable. Even to join the car will be a problem. Tariff, everything is increasing. So I would like to see a Ghana that metro mass buses will be available. Railway sector will be available, so that we will come from our various homes and then to workplaces, and then it will be easier for everybody to move on, and then everything will be fine. That's what I want to see Ghana.
Thank you very much. That's a beautiful Ghana that he's painted out there. So that's the kind of Ghana he wants to see. Let me try and get more people to find out the Ghana that they want to see. What is your ideal Ghana that you want to see? Join us on our social media platforms. Let's have your thought. Let me try and get other people's thought here about their ideal Ghana, the ideal Ghana they want to see. Well, there's a student coming. Let me try and find out from him the sort of ideal Ghana he wants. Chief,
So we'll have to hold on with that, but it's important to us, so we'll come back to it. Now we've been joined by the FDA's Joseph Yao Bernie. He's Director for the Legal Affairs. And you must have heard by now what's happening at the Mawako restaurant in East Legon. We just want a quick update on that. And then my colleague Benjamin will come in with the Bright Simon's bit on what's happening with regards to the facilities we have and what we can test. Thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. So first off, let me find out from you, what's the latest update with the Mawako restaurant case?
Thanks so much for the opportunity. I'm sure by now you are aware we indicated that 2 of the other facilities were asked to stop production, that's Lela and the Abelempe branches. As we also indicated earlier, our samples are still in the lab. We are waiting for results. We've engaged management and staff of the facility. We are trying to understand some few things as to what happened, some of the processes. We are reviewing some of the processes that took place there around the time that the incident occurred. And we are putting all this together. As we also indicated, we've had interaction with some of the patients, both at the hospital. Some have come to our facility. Some have also called us on phone, and we are taking them through the necessary process required by this protocol for investigating a suspected food poisoning. So we are in the process of doing that.
And Mr. Bernie, sorry, is it that for the other branches, the Agbelimpi and the other one you mentioned, did you also get reports, or is the case that they share the same ingredients, or why were they also shut?
What happened was that no, we did not have any reports from there that anybody has also had any, but there are interactions between or among these 3 facilities.
Okay.
So there was a need to shut those 2 facilities down as well.
Okay. So, Mr. Bernie, I'll be moving to my colleague Benjamin, who'll be speaking to you about other issues. But just this one, people are concerned that the day the FDA went to sample the food or pick samples from the restaurant, it's a bit far off from the day the incident was reported. Can you give us any assurances that you will be even able to find anything per your investigations?
For all food poisoning cases, it happens. You may go there, you may not even find the food at all because the food would have been consumed. There will be no samples to even take. So this is no strange incident as far as food poisoning investigations are concerned.
Okay.
But of course, we found ingredients that have been used previously and that are still being used. Okay. And there are other things that we are looking at, and so it will all guide us into arriving at a decision. For food poisoning case, you will go there, you will not find anything at all.
But the people who consumed the food, nobody left any samples, kept any that they shared with the FDA?
No.
Okay. Benjamin?
Speaking of the food samples, Benjamin here, Mr. Benny. Just on a lighter note, we noticed there were quite a number of ice chests, big ones that were. Was that what you used to collect the samples from Mawako?
I don't know how to. Yes, they are part of what we use to collect the samples.
I didn't know you find it as funny as I did.
I'm sure, Mr. Benny, I'm sure you see the social media posts about that. That's why you are laughing. There are those who say, why do you need such a big container to just pick food samples?
But it wasn't even one.
That's on the lighter side, though.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect, so you go prepared.
That's nice. That's a nice one.
All right, let's get to some more serious stuff. So I just want to find out, as an FDA, so you did mention that you were ruling out the fact that these noodles were present in our country.
Else.
We are moving on.
Are you moving to something else?
Yes. Your press statement on the Indomie.
The brand of noodles.
But can you make this snappy for me?
Sure.
Very, very, very snappy. I just want to find out from you. So, as an FDA, do you perform pesticide tests on processed cereals? Do you have that capacity?
Let me just assure you that we read the tweets from Mr. Bryce Simmons. We are responding to it.
So we should expect a statement?
Yes.
Okay.
The statement will come out very soon. I have it in my hands, but I cannot read it now.
Okay.
So you have a statement. Is that to say maybe today we'll hear from the FDA on this?
Oh yeah, that's a response. I have it with me, but I cannot read it to you now until it is signed and I will release.
Can you at least share with us? I mean, it's a matter of concern. I know. I don't want you to get into anything in the statement, but I just want to find out for our own safety, security, all of us. An aflatoxin lab, I mean, pesticides and all of that, is the FDA able to test for these?
That is the essence of the release that is coming, so I cannot. And trust me, I will not go into that until we release.
So hopefully when the release is out, we'll get those details.
It will be out some few days from now.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Bernie. He's Director for Legal and Corporate Affairs at the FDA, and he's been giving us a quick update on the Mawako incident.
Right.
And on the lighter note, he spoke about the size of that ice chest.
I'm happy I got him laughing there.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of people were wondering. But Benjamin, I'm happy the FDA has seen this tweet and they're going to respond to it. We've got our fingers crossed. We don't know what's in that statement.
It's a major concern for me.
Exactly.
Because I want to know, I mean, they are the gatekeepers. I want to know when I'm consuming these products, apart from running my own personal security checks, checking, has it expired, has it not expired, and all of that. Beyond that, I can't go into any further testing. So the FDA must protect me. And so if there are any concerns there, it would be interesting, now that he's mentioning maybe today we'll get that release, I would like to take a microscopic look at it and find out what they would have to say on the back of that.
Definitely. But let's go back to that conversation. What is the ideal Ghana you want to see? And my colleague, Kojo Brace, is still out getting your thoughts.
You are a young man. When you think about Ghana, what sort of Ghana do you want to see for yourself and your generation?
Oh, now everything is hard, but I want to see Ghana in the next 5 years to come like great country, and to the worldwide to hear of Ghana that we are doing the most.
If you say you want to see Ghana a great country, what would you see to make you feel that Ghana is great?
What and what?
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to see change? You've seen roads, railway, clinics, hospitals. I mean, for you, what would make you say that Ghana is great?
General cleaning can make Ghana great, because now you can see fields around, then I don't know how to say it, but now things are not going well, but if the government is hearing what I'm saying, it can help we to build roads, construct trainways, and do all sorts of human needs and wants. Okay.
So that's a citizen having his say. Thank you. And that's on the citizen microphone. So he's at the microphone. He said what he wants to see Ghana become. Let me try and get the thought of this young man as well to find out what his ideal Ghana will be. This is still live on the AM show on Joy News. Chief, good morning. Thanks very much for your time. How are you doing?
I'm good.
If you look at Ghana the way it is, what sort of Ghana do you want to see in the near future?
Oh, okay. So in the near future, I want to see Ghana to be a country that doesn't look out for politics, but look out to solve our own issue with everybody's interest at hand. And now everybody is thinking of him or herself. So looking at a better way, they don't look at it. They think of what will help them. But if you had to drop that side and try to work together to make the country a good place, I think that's what I look out for in the near future.
So for you, what would make you come to the conclusion that this is the ideal Ghana I want to see?
So where we look at everything, the systems in place doesn't favor one or the other. Although we have laws, but we don't see the law work. because who to send you there becomes a different problem, or who to stand in for you. Even finding that right person becomes a problem. But it gets to where I would say it's the ideal is when all this is in place and we see it. So getting hold of it is not a difficult something for us. That's what I would say, that's the ideal, or we are there. Yes.
The way things are going, do you foresee it happening for you?
Not now.
How many years from now?
I can't tell. Maybe the next generation. Because now we've been trained to move that way. So it will take a lot of people. Although we have some particular people trying to work that, it will take a lot of people for us to get there. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for your thought here. This is still the Citizen Microphone on the AM show on Joy News. Simple question we ask you today. What is your ideal Ghana? How do you want to see Ghana in the next 10 years, in the next 20, in the next 30, in your time and beyond? Let's still get more thought from citizens here. There's this man here I would want to have his thought. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I hope you're well.
I'm doing great.
I mean, this is our country, Ghana. Sure. What is your ideal Ghana? Your ideal Ghana might be different from mine. So what do you want to see to make you conclude that this is the ideal Ghana I want to see?
Well, Ghana in itself, we don't want to see anything measured, but we just want to see constant progress as in basic amenities provided for the people, and constant job for the youth to prevent them from entering into petty crimes and other things. That's the ideal Ghana everybody wants to see, not even me per se, but I think if I speak for the youth also. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So for you, what would change for you to say that this is my ideal Ghana? For people getting jobs, but what are the things that you can measure?
Well, I think as of now, what we see is all boiled down to leadership, and I think like if we should have leaders that are nationalists per se, yeah, I think we will have that thing. We will have that progress in a short time, because like we are having leadership crisis. Because if you see now everything going up, and like it's as if there is nobody in charge of the country, and that is worrying. So I think like if we have a nationalist leader, I think we are going to have that progress in no time.
Thank you, gentlemen. So here's how they say. Let's speak to this student here. Chief, how are you?
I'm good.
You are a student. I'm well. You are now coming up. When you sit in your classrooms and you talk amongst yourselves, what kind of Ghana do you want to see?
I want to see a type of Ghana that will be better in the near future and also help the education.
What will make you say Ghana is better? If you say Ghana is better, I mean, it's too open. What will make you conclude that Ghana is better now?
I didn't say it's better now. For now.
No, I'm not saying better. I'm saying that what will change for you to then conclude at that time when you see those things for you to conclude that, well, Ghana is better?
In the way we behave and the way we live among ourselves, that will show the improvement of how Ghana has become.
How do we live? How do we behave?
Sometimes the way they fare and the other staffs, some cannot afford it, so it makes it difficult for them to come to school. And that is also another problem.
Oh, some of your people cannot come to school because of the increment in fares?
Yes. Wow. So if they work and they come to school late, sometimes the door has been locked, so they need to go back and return the next day.
So these are things you want changed for you to say that this is your ideal Ghana?
Yes, that's what I want. And more, and more.
What are the more?
For now, I can't see, but later some of them will come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that is another citizen sharing his thought about his ideal Ghana. Let me try and get some more. I've not gotten a lady. Let me speak to this lady here. How are you doing?
I'm very fine.
Good. So, when you think about Ghana, what is your ideal Ghana you want to see for yourself and your generation and even beyond?
Yeah, I think Ghana is actually one of the best African countries in the world, and we have the capabilities, but some of the leaders are not, thinking, visionary like how our former leaders used to. But I think if we strive hard, we can make it, yes. Yes.
What will change, or what will you see for you to conclude that this is my ideal Ghana?
Yeah, if we continue to like train the children on how to, build up the country, I think Ghana can become great. Yes.
So for you, what must change? What must happen for you to see that, well, today Ghana is great?
Yes, Ghana is very great. Yeah. So I think if the leaders are, focused on the problems that are facing us, especially with the economic hardships, it's like nothing is being done about it. So if they try to, decrease the prices and the inflation and all those things, I think the country will be good to go. Yes.
Thank you. So reduction in inflation, she thinks that will be her ideal Ghana. There's another Ghanaian here, a young man who's striving to work to make ends meet for him. Chief, how are you?
I'm fine, sir.
I'm sure you do have a dream for Ghana, don't you?
Yes, I have.
What is your dream?
My dream is to make Ghana one of the best and best place like every citizen can live and live better.
What do you think must change for you to conclude that, well, this is the sort of Ghana I dream of?
A lot of things must change.
Share them with us.
The way we behave as Ghanaians and our leaders also accepting responsibilities are some of the things we have to do to make our country a better place to live.
Interesting. So he thinks that, and you share a thought with other people. Other people also think behavior, the way we behave, and our leaders. Why is that a big deal?
Yeah, so it's two ways. So the citizenry will accept responsibilities and change of behavior. And the leadership will also have to also accept responsibilities by changing the way they do things, because at times some of the decisions they take does not help us at all. So that is what I can also contribute.
And what about the citizens? You mentioned them.
Yeah, our behavior, we seems to do anything we want. The level of lawlessness and the level of indiscipline is too much. We take granted everything for granted. We do things the way we want to do them without thinking of the consequences that will come.
All right, thank you for sharing that with us. So that says his. Let me try and get more thought here. Chivo, just a minute, sir. What is your ideal Ghana you want to see?
My ideal Ghana?
Yes.
I want to see a Ghana that's having a bright future and the youth getting jobs, and there'll be easy access to money and the economy will be growing, time to time, That's my
easy access to money,
yes, please.
It's difficult to get access to money.
You want the money, the youth, you need money to establish businesses. So when the money is available, we can do some entrepreneurship jobs or business.
But why do you think it's not accessible now?
Looking at the rates, the bank charges, so like people don't have it in mind to go for loans to have credit to those kind of I don't know, opportunities that's available out there. So I think easy access to money will help. For my ideal Ghana, that's what I believe in.
All right. Thank you very much. So that's his ideal Ghana. We're still on the street of Accra getting your thought. This is on the Citizen microphone here on the AM show on Joy News. Let's get two more and then we can call it a day. But remember, you can join us with your thought as well on our social media handles, and we will share that with the rest of the world. What is your ideal Ghana? What do you want to see of Ghana for you to conclude that this is the dream Ghana I have been having? Chief, good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. You're a young man like myself. What's your ideal Ghana? How do you want to see Ghana become in the future?
Oh, for me, I want Ghana to become great in the near future. I'm just seeing what's going on, the rate of increasement of things, inflation and everything. I'm just praying that by God's grace, everything will be well and everything will go smooth for Ghana. Yes.
So you think that when the price of goods and services come down, that is your ideal Ghana?
Not my ideal Ghana, but when everything is going smoothly and the life of everyone in this country is very good and everyone is living comfortable, that's my ideal Ghana for me.
Okay. Thank you. Let me try and okay. There's this gentleman here. Chief, how are you?
I'm good.
Tell me, what is the dream Ghana you've been dreaming about?
Oh yeah, I've been dreaming to see Ghana better. The current stage of Ghana is very bad to say. Ghanaians, we should all repent, especially our politicians. They are gambling with us. They take us for granted, and you and I have given them the opportunity to do that, because what is happening in the country, an NPP man is always supporting his government, an NDC man is always condemning the government in power, which is very bad. We all need to repent. The politicians have seen that we have no any other way. We will either defend them or we will criticize them. So they do things anyhow. They don't care. They don't care of the state of Ghana. They will just come out and lie. We really need leaders. In fact, Ghana, especially Africa, we are lacking leaders. That's why we have every resources in Africa, especially Ghana, but yet we are poor. Why? Because our leaders will come and talk plenty and wouldn't do anything. They will talk a lot, promise a lot, and wouldn't do anything. In fact, we are, me per se, in fact, I am very sad. And Ghanaians, if we don't take our future into consideration, tomorrow our children, imagine the current stage of Ghana, what will happen in the next 30 years to come. By that time, you and I will be retired, and our children will take it. So what we are showing now, it is going to be brutal in future. So I just pray that the leaders would think and lead the country well. It doesn't matter the resources. What matters is good leadership. We've all seen what Dubai was and how Dubai is now. It's because of a leader, not the resources. Thank you so much.
So, and then you spoke about the citizens as well. You said we also have a duty.
Yes, we also have a duty. In fact, we are very lazy Ghanaians. We pretend that we are religious. Okay, every day, church, praying 24 hours and wouldn't work. You see that we are not responsible. Throwing rubbish around, throwing everything around. We are not responsible as citizens. We are too, let me use the word, we are too irresponsible. And we need to change. If we really want Ghana to work, it starts from you and I. We need to be responsible and now ask the government or the leaders to be responsible.
So for you, what would the leaders change for you to conclude that they are now responsible and this would help Ghana?
Oh yeah, they should fight corruption. The corruption is key. I always wish that a government should come and tell me how he's going to fight corruption, not how he's going to work. The monies that have been going throughout the back doors or the wrong hands, that money alone can save Ghana. Every day, huge sum of monies are going to wrong hands. That's why Ghana will not go anywhere. They will give out a contract to this person. Go and investigate and see. The money will pass through so many stages. They will share the money among themselves, and small amount of the money will be used to do the contract, and the contract will be shoddy work. So, in fact, the leaders should fight corruption. As soon as I'm seeing that Nana has started persecuting his own appointees, I know that Ghana will work.
Okay, so that is his ideal Ghana. A Ghana where leadership is effective, Ghana where citizens are responsible for the things that happen around them. That is the Ghana he wants to see. What is the Ghana you want to see? We want to have your say, want to have your thought on our platforms so we can share that with the rest of our viewers. This has been the Citizen Microphone, coming to you live from the streets of Accra. I am Samuel Kojo Brace. Over to you those in the studio.
Alrighty, so that was Samuel Kojo Brace hitting the streets of Accra and bringing us those thoughts there, especially that last person. Quite a lot he had to share.
And so he talks a bit of our responsibility as citizens as well. And it should not be lost on us that even though we call our politicians to order, there are, things that we
it behoves us to do certain things.
Yes, there
we
are
can call them out.
Exactly. So if every Ghanaian put their refuse at a designated point and the government wasn't coming for it, then we could hit government very hard. But here's the case. There are those who take it to the designated point and then we don't have those who are supposed to collect it come for it on time. And there are those who also throw it in unapproved places.
Which results in some of what we saw on Saturday, the flooding.
Serious flooding. Serious flooding. And then there's also the bit where he talks about where he would feel okay if this president, for example, begins to prosecute people who have been found culpable of one thing or the other within his government. He thinks that people are too polarized. It's either blue or red. And our minds, we don't digest the issues just solely on the facts. We always want to see through a certain lens. And he thinks that won't help us. And then he asked a question which got me thinking. He said, considering the current state of affairs now, what will Ghana look like in 30 years?
That's a good question. Something else he says, in line with all that we've been discussing, he says we should repent. And that is, but before you go, I know we put our question of the day there. Before you go, there's another interesting development. In fact, this is a breaking story that we're bringing you. It has to do with football. Yeah, we're breaking it, and we'll get back into the bit. But it has to do with Ashanti Gold, the football club. And guess what? They've been demoted to the 2nd division. This is reminiscent of what happened to Juventus years back. They've been demoted to the 2nd division on the back of match fixing. Match fixing. Yeah. And that is the penalty. So the FA has given this directive, and now we're going to see how, the cookie crumbles when it comes to Ashanti Gold. But that is quite a big blow. I mean, from...
There are a couple of things that still is the word intrigue, maybe, about our football here. Match fixing is one of them. The second one has to do with the issue of
referees?
Juju.
Oh,
juju in football. Right. And I ask myself, at this stage where football has developed to, and someone asked the question.
But people still believe in it.
Has any African...
And work with it. No, it's a serious matter.
I appreciate that. And look, my mom has told me stories before. My mom was a national
Don't speak to
athlete.
the footballers. They will tell you that they are always, scared of this person doing that against them, depending on which position you're playing.
My only problem is how we focus so much on that.
I agree with you.
My mom was a national athlete, and she shared her personal experience with me of how she got onto the court. She played volleyball for Ghana. She got onto the court and her leg swells up. She comes to sit down and she's fine. She goes again and she can't even, hit a ball.
Inexplicably.
So we know these things happen. But my point is why we are so fixated about it. When other people are developing stadia, state-of-the-art facilities to train people, and they are winning trophies. So where has our juju taking us?
But anyway, we have Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, who joins us now in the studio. He'll be walking us through this development and why exactly we ended up here. Muftau, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So Ashanti Gold, there was that situation, and now the FA has delivered, what is this? It's ruling?
Yeah, that's a verdict from the National Committee of the Ghana Football Association that says that Ash Gold should be demoted to Division 2 because following their investigations, they realized that the owner of the club, Dr. Kweku Frimpong, offered to pay one Emmanuel Ni Amoa 10,000 Ghana cedis to manipulate the outcome of the match in favor of Ashanti Gold. He was looking for a certain result, which was 5-1. So just as the Inter-Allies player mentioned last year that he decided to score 2 own goals because he heard in the hotel that the game was going to end 5-1, so he scored the 2 own goals so that it will not end 5-1 for the betting outcome that they were looking for to come to pass. Indeed, but the investigations of the Ghana Football Association, that was what was supposed to happen.
But before you go on, who is this Emmanuel Ni Amoa?
Yeah. Okay, so per the defense that was put out by the Ashanti Gold owner, Dr. Kweku Frimpong, and his CEO, Emmanuel Frimpong, who is the son of Dr. Kweku Frimpong, they said they don't know him. But the FA realized that there were a series of telephone conversations between Emmanuel Frimpong as well as Emmanuel Ni Amoa.
That is the owner of the club.
That's the owner of the club. Yes. And then this Emmanuel Amoa person. Later, they told the GFA that they were trying to negotiate player sales. But Emmanuel Ni Amoa insisted that was not what transpired. So the FA also relied, there's something called FIFA Radar.
Right.
It's a Swiss company. And this is a company you can always rely on to give you an idea whether a match is fixed or not.
Okay.
So when the FA contacted this company, the company revealed to the GFA that the match between Inter Allies and Ashanti Gold, there was betting that transpired. They claimed the match was fixed because they said prior to the game, they noticed some changes.
So usually the betting trends.
They're
able to look at it and determine whether or not people are.
So they are able to determine whether a match is fixed or not. And it was the same thing. It was the same FIFA sports radar that FIFA used to ban J.O. Lamthe for life for the outcome of the match between Senegal and South Africa in the 2018 World Cup qualifiers, the game that was played in South Africa. So it was the same thing the GFA relied on. And then when they did their investigations, they noticed that, yes, indeed, the match was fixed, and they've decided to demote Ashanti Gold to Division 2.
So what does this really mean? I mean, it brought back memories of Juventus, if you recall.
Juventus in 2004,
years back.
2005, 2006.
And 2 seasons also.
Yeah, for them, it was in the 2004-2005 season, but they were banned in the middle of the World Cup, which was 2006. This was around July that Juventus were officially sanctioned and taken down to the lower tier of Italian football.
So what does it mean for Ashanti Gold? What is this going to do to them? Leaving the top tier, going to Division 2, what is it going to mean for them financially, in terms of players? I mean, what does this mean?
Okay, so usually when some of these things come up, it's very difficult to understand the psyche of footballers because at this point, already the club is demoted. As a footballer, would you want to go back to the second tier or even the third tier? In Ghana, this is the third tier because the second tier of Ghana football is Division 1. So if you're demoted to Division 2, you're now in the third tier. You're more of playing a regional football competition. How would, or why would a player like Yao Ano decide to go to Division 2 with the team and follow them till they qualify to the Premier League? So at this point, they are likely to lose key players who, and it is even much easier because a player like Yao Ano, who has scored 16 goals, Asante Kotoko is a team that is rumored to be interested in the services of such a player.
So it's very likely he will just make the move.
It is much easier for these players to be taken away from Ashanti Gold. But I'm not sure it is going to end here because I think Ashanti Gold will fight the decision.
Yeah,
because
and we have that statement from the GFA right behind you, so we can get into it even as we talk about Ashanti Gold, and they have the right to do that.
They
fight against.
They have the right to do that. But the interesting thing is that Inter Allies was the opponent in this game. What decision? What is the decision for that of Inter Allies? Inter Allies
exactly. Were they also complicit in any way? Their leadership plan? I mean,
so when all these things happened, I had the privilege of watching footage of the match because I was given first-hand access to all the things that transpired in Obuasi. And the players of Ashanti Gold were actually angry that Inter Allies scored 2 goals. All these videos were watched by the investigative team of the Ghana Football Association. Why would you win by 7-1 and be angry? These are questions definitely we're going to ask.
So 7-1 instead of the 5-1, which was going to give them the betting odds they wanted.
The betting odds they were all looking for.
Right.
That is where we've got into. And Inter Allies, I'm not sure. The GFA have not said anything about Inter Allies. Already they were relegated at the end of the season to Division 1. They are competing to qualify to the Premier League, and it's Ashanti Gold who have been.
So let's take a look at that statement very quickly and find out what details.
So let's go pretty quick to page 12. Let's go pretty quick to page 12 of the document where the Ghana Football Association revealed that from here. Evidence of communications before the match. They said the prosecution revealed that before the match was played and between 12th of July 2021 and 19th July 2021, Dr. Kweku Frumpong called New Amwa on 2 occasions. Within the same period, New Amwa also contacted Dr. Kweku Frumpong 6 times, whilst New Amwa contacted Emmanuel Frumpong 9 times. Emmanuel Frumpong is the CEO of Ashanti Gold. Dr. Kweku Frumpong is the owner of Ashanti Gold, and he is the father of Emmanuel Frimpong.
Or
the Asamnaba. So the prosecution showed that on 12 July 2021, around 4:57 p.m., Dr. Kweku Frimpong called Emmanuel Ni Amoah and expressed his interest in the match in question. He said during the discussions, Dr. Kweku Frimpong offered Emmanuel Ni Amoah an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis to manipulate the match to achieve a correct score of 5-1 to advance his betting objective. Dr. Kweku Frimpong then indicated that he will instruct someone who was later found out to be Emmanuel Frimpong, the CEO of Ashanti Gold, to send the money. Emmanuel Frimpong is the son of Dr. Kweku Frimpong, and he's the CEO.
So the CEO of the club,
yes,
the son,
yes,
of the CEO,
yes,
and then Emmanuel Ni Amoah,
yes,
caught in this web.
These are the three people who are caught in the web, and they came down to say thereon Emmanuel Ni Amoah frequently contacted Dr. Kweku Frimpong to obtain more information on the details of Dr. Kweku Frimpong's interest in manipulating the match. The prosecution provided detailed call records between the parties to support this claim. The committee knows that though Dr. Kweku Frimpong and Emmanuel Frimpong, the CEO of Ashanti Gold, had stated that they did not know Ni Amoah and has never dealt with him, however, the phone records showed that the two Ashanti Gold SC club officials have been in communications with Ni Amoah on a number of occasions as regards the match. And they have mobile money transactions and all those details.
So evidence there as
details,
well.
Everything.
But here's where it gets interesting. So two quick points. One, Ashanti Gold has a rich history in our premiership.
Yes.
For this to happen to them, I don't know whether they can come back, because we've seen what has happened to the likes of Gapoha and others who never made it back. Even the likes of RTU are struggling now that they are back. But what happens? Yes, the club has suffered relegation. Yes. What happens to these individuals? I think that is where...
Okay,
so
see,
Dr.
Frimpong,
Emmanuel Frimpong, and Emmanuel Ni Amoah.
It's quite interesting. Per the regulations that governs football in Ghana, at no point has it ever been mentioned that match fixing is a criminal offense. It is only FIFA that frowns on match fixing.
Because I know elsewhere in other jurisdictions...
In other jurisdictions, it is stated clearly in their law books that if you fix a match, it is a crime and it is punishable by law. But in the law books of Ghana, there's nowhere in the law books of Ghana is it indicated that these two individuals, because they were engaged in match fixing, they should be sanctioned. They should be punished.
But within the GFA's disciplinary code.
Within the GFA disciplinary codes, if you manipulate the outcome of a match, you are subject to a ban of 5 years.
Okay. Where that
5 years.
That ban means...
Where that ban means that you're not supposed to be engaged in any football-related activity for the next 5 years. So Dr. Kweku Frimpong and Emmanuel Frimpong, since the GFA disciplinary committee have found them guilty, what it means is that they're supposed to be banned from all football-related activities for the next 5 years. So that is what's likely to happen to
My final bit to you, can Dr. Kweku Frimpong still own the club?
He cannot own the club any longer.
He can't, so he must sell it.
So are we going to have the Chelsea?
That's exactly why.
And even the Christian Ntechi story, he had to sell Wild All Stars because he was banned by FIFA.
Okay.
Since you've been banned, you have to sell the club because you cannot be engaged in any football activity.
Interesting.
Muftar Nabila Abdullahi, thank you for that update. It makes for interesting
conversations. So I'm sure in subsequent bulletins we'll have the sports
we'll have
team
more details.
further digest this. But it's now time to hear from you. For those of our colleagues, our viewers, I beg your pardon, at home, you can call in and share your thoughts with us. Today we've been discussing the security threats and also...
So the security threats with a deputy defense minister saying, all is not well. We've also looked at our developmental agenda as a country, and we've spoken about the FDA and how they are protecting us. All of that when we return after this break. So you can call in and we'll pick your thoughts on social media. We'll be right back. right, so here we are. We give you the microphone. And you heard from Samuel Kojo-Brace earlier. How about we do some social media now? And after that, we'll pick your phone calls. Bernice?
Exactly. So our question today is, what is the ideal Ghana you want to see? And there are a lot of comments to that. 48.
Don't ask me that question.
Yeah. Not our usual. But I'll just take those comments quickly. And then we'll open the phone lines to hear what you also have to say. So, despite Ali says the ideal Ghana he wants to see is a Ghana with JM as president, okay? Joe Zano says the Ghana that is better than Canada and the UK.
and UK, no, as saith Untumi.
Emperor Sadiq says, a Ghana full of honest people, right from the presidency to the ordinary Ghanaian. Once honesty is established, everything is achieved. Reminds me of the conversation I had with Dr. Upuni Frimpong when the issue about corruption in the church came to the fore. Who do we blame here? But he thinks we need values. And I think this is what Emperor Sadiq is also touching on. Honesty. That's a value.
I think we need those values, but genuinely, can our leaders always be 100% honest with us? That's another question.
So if the leaders aren't honest, but
I mean,
who run
we
the
expect them to be honest,
are,
but how far do you stretch honesty?
And that's why institutions, remember Barack Obama, institutions.
Yeah.
Once
they work, you must do the right thing.
You understand. And Yao Emmanuel says, my ideal Ghana should be one where media... Okay, you're talking about Joy FM. Thank you very much. We listen to feedback, but for the records, we aren't biased. Godwin Kakpali says, I personally wish to see the Ghana one day that one, equal justice for the poor and the rich.
Okay.
You know, the law, yesterday they discussed that. And if you go to our Facebook page, you see that story where there are concerns that the law favors the rich. So we should look at that. And two, no political party head will rule Ghana again. So are we going back to monarchy?
I don't get this though. No political party head will rule Ghana again.
That's what I'm asking.
So what do we opt for then, Godwin? What do we go for?
Find a royal family. The Queen.
Make me king.
Okay, a strong military. Oh no. Okay, please. Before we are going.
I think we should.
Before we are told that we are.
So now I get what this person is.
So Solomon Nyantichi says, I envision a Ghana with no ex gratia for the political class after every 4 years of inactivity. A V8 culture, no more than 50 ministers and every public servant working at minimum wage. That's for minimum wage there. Public sector workers.
I think
but is it enough?
No. So he's saying, I think he's suggesting that even those people at the ministries and the rest should also accept minimum wage. But the thing is, quality. You get it. Else there'll be brain drain. Then no one would want to go and do that. And they would all leave the country. Okay,
so this is from Francis. A Ghana where basic necessities are not for the privileged few.
I agree.
A Ghana where justice is for all and not for the highest bidder.
I agree.
A Ghana where leadership truly reflects the needs and aspirations of citizens.
I agree.
I would love to see a Ghana with respect for human dignity. I love this. Look.
Yeah.
You can't.
Francis is making a lot of sense.
You can't replace human dignity with anything. And I would love to see a Ghana where positions, jobs are not for the privileged few nor the politically connected, but based on merit.
Is it like that message for us? Like it on my behalf.
I will do so. I definitely will do so. Bayer Jeremiah says, a corruption-free Ghana, a Ghana free from terrorist and militant threat.
Interesting, and especially as we're talking about.
Exactly. We've been having this discussion this morning, and the experts are concerned that it's closer to us now than ever.
Right.
Just in Togo last week, we saw there was an attack there, and so churches and other places of worship have been put on high alert. Okay, well, a Ghana free from youth unemployment. I want to see industrialized Ghana, a Ghana free from coolmongers, a Ghana where press freedom is free, a Ghana where healthcare is affordable, a Ghana where roads infrastructure are up to standard, a Ghana where young people take the destiny of the country into their own hands, though through hard work and and abiding by the law. I want to see a Ghana that remains a peaceful country on the continent and on the world as a whole. Evans Kumson says, a Ghana where journalists engage in objective analysis, devoid of tribalism and partisanship. So it's now time to take your calls. For those of you at home, Benjamin, do you mind announcing the telephone line so that we can quickly take a few calls before we go?
So 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2. Call that number and get interactive with us as you share your thoughts as well. 0302-211-691 extension.
All right, so you'll be seeing that number on your screen shortly. And let me just chip this in. When you come, just keep your points as clear, concise as you can. Talking about the ideal Ghana you want, you can touch on any of the subject areas that we've spoken about today. Benjamin?
I was just going to mention that we want to take as many callers as possible. So when you come, like she said, straight to the point and let's hear from you. Do we have any more messages that...
Yes, sir. So this one is from John Bessa. He says, a Ghana where all Article 71 office holders, including the president and all CEOs of state-owned enterprises, pay their own utility bills. Please, can we have the numbers on the screens so that for those who missed out on it earlier, we'll see it. Haruna Zakaria says, abundance of jobs, nothing else. When there are jobs, there will be peace and development. And Johnny Archer says, we are okay. Says we don't want any ideal Ghana. People always find a way to make fun of everything. And someone says, so in Ghana, we cannot be angry in peace. Someone takes a very serious thing and makes, a joke out of it. Okay, so we have Kofi from Poco. I say, hello, Kofi. Thank you for joining us. Let's hear what you have to say. Hello, Kofi from Bubuashi, rather. Hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's hear you, please.
How are you, madam?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for calling.
I love the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Good morning to you all.
Kofi, please go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I love the program.
Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, the problems are a lot. So if I start my...
Well, it appears we have a problem with that line. And just by way of announcement, please, when you call us, listen to us over the telephone. If you try to listen over the television set, we will get a delay, like it appears to be happening with Kofi. Hello, Kofi, can you hear me? Let's hear what you have to say. What will your ideal Ghana be?
A lot. But all depends on our attitude.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. So on Facebook, someone was also talking about attitude, coincidentally.
Right.
Nana K says a change of attitude from the citizens, especially exhibiting positive attitude towards work. He thinks that attitude crowns it all. And Samuel Walker says we can never see any ideal Ghana without emancipation from mental corruption. I don't know what mental corruption is.
Maybe corruption that has taken a deep-seated effect on you.
He wants to
it's taken you over.
Anytime I see the word emancipated, I remember Bob Marley's song, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. I don't know, that's what he was trying to say.
Come to think of it, so it's not just the bit about the ideal Ghana. If you would also like to share your thoughts on the security threat that we're experiencing, the terrorists getting close on our doors, and our Deputy Defense Minister saying all is not well. You can share your thoughts as well.
Okay, we have Ibrahim from Kumasi. Good morning, Ibrahim. Please, let's hear you.
Good morning, Benin.
Let's hear what you have to say, Ibrahim. Do we have a problem with our line?
Guys, so when you call, don't watch on the television or get the feedback from the television. Listen to us on the phone and just go. Even if we've not said, once you call, we respond, just go. Go straight to the point.
Yeah.
Just go straight to the point. Yeah? Go straight to the point.
Okay, while we wait for other callers, Jacob says a Ghana where minimum wage is hourly, not daily. So, in other places, you say you're told, well, you earn like $25 per hour or £10 per hour, something like that. Well, that's what he wants to see.
It will take something to get to that point because we don't have the right systems yet.
Okay, we've got a caller from Tepa. Hello, Eugene. Let's hear you, please. Hello, Eugene.
Hello.
Yes, let's hear you, please.
I'd like to see a Ghana without NDC and NPP.
Okay.
Thank you for calling. That's very...
But Eugene, I'm curious, why is that? In our fourth Republican experience, they have been the ones running the country. So tell us, why is that?
Haven't they been the cause of all our problems?
Well, we appreciate your comments. Borg is joining us from Botiano. Hello, let's hear you, sir.
Yes, I want to see Ghana look like how Dr. Kwame Nkrumah bought motorways. We want to see Ghana look like how those days our father go to US, university freely and have a good education. I want to see Ghana look like those days. Those are the things that I want. And more importantly, our leaders should take responsibility. After they have to utilize it for our benefit, not for their personal use.
All right, Borg, thank you for calling. It's happened twice already. So just when we pick a caller, Benjamin, there's something on the screen that is in direct connection with what they say. And Allah Kasama says, if you can't get the Nkrumah Ghana, please leave us to the Mahama Ghana. Why? So our last caller is joining us from Kumasi. Hello, Jacob. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, madam, please, in fact, I am really disappointed this current situation. Now, when you go to market, the food inflation is too much. Even Kumasi here, it was very cheapest place in the whole Ghana to afford to buy things. But nowadays, if you go to KJTR, New Market, Rescos, things are very high. So in fact, I say Papa Bejiye, but I say they are against him. So in fact, very disappointed. And one of my brothers was a NAPCO trainee. Now that they should be at post, but they are not paying them.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. So that's Jacob from Kumasi. And Benjamin, I have lived in Kumasi and Accra, and so I know what he's talking about when it comes to food prices.
Kumasi always, not just food, accommodation.
Almost everything. The standard of living there
appears the script is
quite better.
flipping.
I know I said Jacob was our last caller, but I have a little bit of time, so I'm going to allow Yamoa, who is joining us from Insuta. Yamoa, please tell us what you're thinking about. What's the ideal Ghana you want to see?
Yeah, let's I want to add to the program is about the sanitary and then the flooding problem.
Okay.
For that, I think it's about our chiefs, because they sell land to people, but they don't do the proper planning. That always causes all these problems. So you have to look at that very well.
Thank you, Yamoa. Benjamin, I know we have a town and country planning department. We have institutions that are So
exactly.
So well, I mean, to blame the chiefs, I'm not too sure, but I mean, those are his thoughts, and we are grateful for them. So water is life, and water regulates your body temperature. I'm sure you know that, and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect size for every occasion. 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more, like Benjamin over here. We've also introduced our special 90-liter jars for offices and homes. Now, you just need to stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. Come on, grab a bottle of Awake water and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casapreco. For bulk purchase, please call 026-235-1251 and you will be served.
Okie doke, so let's get it on. Did you know that the income of a young entrepreneur from some selected businesses is exempt from tax for 5 years? Any young entrepreneur engaged in the following: manufacturing, information and communications technology, agro-processing, energy production, waste processing, tourism and the creative arts, horticulture and medicinal plants, does not need to pay income tax on these activities for their first 5 years of operation. A young entrepreneur engaged in a business that enjoys an initial 5-year concession benefits from the following applicable tax rates for an additional 5 years. Let's get the details. Accra and Tema, you enjoy 15%. Other regional capitals outside the 3 northern regions, 12.5%. If you're outside the other regional capitals, 10%. And in the 3 northern regions, 5%. So just go to your nearest GRA office and they will give you all the details you need. As we cap off, happy birthday once more to, well, our very own, let me just say, Christabel Solomon. Happy birthday and God bless you.
All right, so that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. And we have to leave. News Desk will be next. And then at 12 we have
talking dilapidated structures, right?
Yeah,
we have that coming up.
Yeah, and at 12 we have a major news bulletin. But hey, I'd just like to remind all of us, be vigilant when you go to the market, wherever you are. If you see anybody acting in a funny way, you suspect that someone may be lurking around to perpetrate some crime or terror, do contact the nearest police station and keep everyone around you safe. So from Benjamin,
if you see something, say something.
That's it. So from Benjamin and I, we wish you the very best of the rest of the day. Do take care and see you at 6 tomorrow morning.
Yep. Good day.
Good day.